MDJ podcast. And what does that stand for?
MisterDjay podcast.
Good luck.
What's going on, YouTube? Back at you with another video. We're here with podcast number 13, and I got 3 of my guys in here.
Hello, my name is Percy Brown, the host of the Prince of Fresh Air podcast, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yep, I'm Kirby. I love life. Yes, sir.
Hey, yo, it's your boy OC. Now, I mean, you can follow me on IG, OC Vibes, OC_Vibes, and, you know, I'm here.
Cool. So one thing I didn't peep is that I guess it's National Men's Health Month. So it's ironic that we're doing a podcast about mental health during National Men's Health Month. So
I didn't know that.
Before I get my definition on what I think mental health is, I was going to ask y'all to kind of start it off. What is mental health to you? So when you see people talk about mental health, what does mental health mean to you?
You know, for me, man, you know, mental health is something that we overlook as a society. And for me, mental health is being in a state of balance where, you know, you're able to balance life. You know, everybody has a overworked work schedule and, you know, personal life, and is being able to balance them out without, you know, suffering some type of mental breakdown or, you know, just being comfortable in yourself at all times. That's what I see as mental health.
I was going to say that, no, to define mental health, I look at physical health. What is physical health? It's the, it's like the level of health that you have in your body. So I look at mental health as kind of like, where is your mind? Is your mind full or are you mindful? Meaning, are you able to, do you have a sound mind? Are you focused? Are you able to have clear thoughts? And also that goes into emotions, because mind and emotions are kind of related. When you think something, it affects how you feel. So I also look at it, where's your emotional, I put emotional health together with mental health. If you're in a depressive state or if you're in a joyful state, I look at all that as something that affects mental health. So it's kind of like, it's just where you are at mentally, in your mind and in your, I would even go as far to say in your spirit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Word. Yeah, I'd say for the most part, mental health, is just, you know, trying to make sure that you're straight, trying to make sure that your mind is straight. And as long as that is good, then from there, you know, you can kind of have the wherewithal to kind of just balance that out throughout the whole body. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the brain and the heart, those are things that really guide the body.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, mental health is just making sure you have that clarity, that proper insight, that thinking, knowing yourself, who you are, and, you know, how you interact with others and the world.
Right.
And, you know,
see, I talk to Percy too much because he pretty much stole my answer. Because what I was going to say is that mental health is really inner balance. I think what's going on internally is what's going to actually, you know, happen externally. So, you know, if you're not balanced on the inside, it's like you think of like a Libra scale, kind of like that, and everything kind of coincides. So, you know, your work life, you know, saying your physical health, like Kirby said, you know, how you feel about yourself, your relationships with people, everything has to be in balance. And I think once there's an imbalance, then it's going to start to affect your mental health. So I think that's really what mental health kind of means to me. So to piggyback off of that, the biggest issue that I have right now is that most people don't really prioritize mental health. You know what I'm saying? I think mental health now, it's like you only see people really talk about it on social media. Like when you see a quote, you see a meme. And people, the only people that get praised for going through something like mentally or like emotionally are celebrities. The average person doesn't get a pass for, you know, saying what they go through, you know what I'm saying, like on the inside. So like, let's say if you were to go to work one day or if you didn't want to go to work one day and then, you know, your manager is like, oh, you know, why don't you want to come to work? And you're like, you know, I'm kind of going through something mentally. I'm not feeling it mentally. They're going to be like, what? Bring your ass into work. Like they're not, you're not going to get a pass for that. So I'm not sure if anyone else agrees with that, but that's just my take on mental health being mental health not being a priority in society.
Yeah, I feel like it's I feel like recently it's I see more of a trend of mental health being a thing where when people talk about Yeah, yeah. You know, when I feel like a lot of people in general, when they talk about mental health, they're they're like you said, you know, like they're kind of talking about the celebrities' way of putting mental health. They're not really thinking about number one, what is mental health to them or where their mental health is. But I
Mhm.
do think it's not something that we value, because I mean, if you think about it, I'll be honest with you, even the lifestyle that is promoted through social media, through all sorts of media, does not promote mental health. You know, going to parties all every weekend or this and that is not promoting mental health. All of these things, the way that we eat, all of that affects our mental health. So these things are not promoting mental health. So I
Mhm.
definitely feel like society's value and understanding of mental health is definitely something that is I want to say distorted, but I don't want to say distorted. Also, maybe it's
Like
just not.
skewed.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's a good word for it. So that's where I feel like it stands right now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I definitely agree with both of you. I said. I think Tyson Fury talks about all the time how, you know, you see with celebrities a lot of times, and like you said, it is true that a lot of celebrities, their way of mental health is different than the average worker or the average person. But at the end of the day, people forget that there's a limit to how much your body can take. And people say, "Oh, you got to push through it. Push through the pain. Just focus on it. Keep your eyes on the prize."
It's not
Well, sometimes
realistic.
it's hard. It's not realistic sometimes when your mind is clouded, you're not focused, your brain is scattered, you're going through tragedies. What happened with what's her name? Shakari Richardson. You know what I'm saying? That's another form of
But the
mental
tennis
health where
is he a
people
tennis player?
now she was the track
No.
athlete.
She's the athlete. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was just another prime example of people, because she smoked a little weed, they thought it was laugh and giggles. But I mean, you lose a parent before, the Olympics. That's not easy work right there, to
Like
just pick up and do it.
like
So,
like people jump to conclusions and shit, you know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, they didn't even know what she was really going through, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes. And I feel like that's why people don't even prioritize mental health in society, because people don't take that into account. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like I'll think back to like the last time I had like a bad day at work, you know what I'm saying? And it was because of outside things. So when I came in, I was kind of just to myself, I was kind of quiet. And this was when, I was still fairly new. So I probably hadn't been there for maybe none but like a week and a half. And then I had, one of the my coworkers kind of like try to like play with me, so to speak, like, making jokes and shit. Meanwhile, she doesn't know how I don't remember what it was that was throwing me off, but basically it's like no one even asked me how I was feeling. You know what I'm saying? Or they took me just kind of being to myself and introverted as like, oh, this nigga quiet, or he, you know what I'm saying? Like, how people normally like praise people for being extroverted, but they don't praise you for being introverted or being to yourself.
Right. And I mean, that's a big problem. And, for me, I live a life. I was just talking to a coworker because I know my boss was trying to get me to work, all week. And I said, for me, first of all, the schedule is burning me out. When I start oversleeping, when I start putting less effort in my auditions or my stuff that I'm doing, then there's a problem. And a lot of people just say, oh, you just got pushed through it, get that money. But at what cost is it? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, we just live in a society where it's all about, you work that 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? Take care of your family, do that overtime. There's more to life than that, And the biggest problem too, and it comes back to the work and personal life balance, is a lot of people don't have that money to be able to take that day off to focus on themselves. They have to go to work every day or they're not going to pay that rent.
That's a fact.
So that, money, as much as people like to discredit it, it helps a lot of times, for you to take care of your mental health. But a lot of people are in a position where, they can take a week off and refocus and then come back to work stronger,
It's I feel like it's a system where, it's set up for you to have to put your mental health on the back burner. Like, I ain't gonna front, like, my mom says that all the time, and she's like, oh, well, you should just work more hours. And it's like, nah, I can't do that. Like, so since we're talking about like work and stuff like that, so me and Kirby, right? Like back in February or March, whenever, he made a song called State of Mind. And the whole song was basically about how, like where the imbalance starts when you have an unhealthy like work life. You know what I'm saying? So like you have all of this energy. So you start the day at 100%. And then by the time, what did you say? You said my energy on 20. If we're talking about percentage, that's what this nigga, that's what I'm saying. Like, so by the time you give so much to everybody else, and by the time you come home, you don't even have enough to give to yourself. So
Yeah.
talk about that, Kirk.
You know, I was actually gonna say that I feel like this is also to add on to what Percy was saying too, is that a lot of times, like, I feel like we as individuals, we don't prioritize our mental health, because you have to think about it. You have to know, where do I stand right now mentally? Where do I stand right now? Like where am I at? If I'm reflecting, if I'm being reflective, where am I at right now? And a lot of times, you know, like, we overwork ourselves thinking, okay, I have to meet this goal. I have to do this. I have to do that. But you know what's even more important is how you take care of yourself, because
Right.
you could work all you want, but if you can't even enjoy the fruits of your labor, what's the point of the labor? So, you know, part of what you were talking about with that song State of Mind, when I had originally done it, it was kind of like that. It was speaking about the state of mind that I was in. And, you know, with the line specifically we were talking about, it was just kind of like the idea that, you know, you can go to work, like you said, we have a limited amount of willpower, and we have a limited amount of energy, and we have a limited amount of time. So if you're spending 8 hours a day working, you spend, let's say, 6 hours a day sleeping. Now you're really left with about 7 hours a day, and you know you have other responsibilities. We're not even counting transportation time and all of these things.
Can't even tend to those things.
Exactly. And so the whole point of the song was, you know, I'd work from 9 to 5 or whatever it is. And then when I get out, when it comes to doing things that really bring me pleasure, that really bring me joy, or even the things that I was pursuing, whether it's my own business, whatever it is, it's like you just don't have the energy to do it. And I've heard a lot of people say that. I remember I had a conversation with my brother where he was saying, you know, he had his job where he started, and he was working. And he was just like, man, you know, sometimes I get out of work, I don't feel like being creative. It's like I don't have the energy. And that's something that that's a problem in society. And another thing that I'll add real quick too, that I feel like is a major problem, is overstimulation of information. And what I mean is that we spend, like, I think about it, everybody who spends, on average, most people spend about 2 hours a day on social media. Not 2 hours.
Probably more than that on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually more. Yes, you're right. It's actually, I had read, it's actually 4 hours. I'm going to bring it down to even say 2 hours. And we're not talking about, like, you're not going to spend 4 hours the whole, like, you know what I mean? It's like throughout the day.
Collectively.
Take 50, exactly.
Right.
So now imagine you're doing that. All you're doing is constantly bombarding your mind with information. And every time you get new information, what it forces you to do is to make decisions. And like I said, our willpower is limited. So when you get new information, it starts to make you think and think and think. And now you're faced with different decisions that you have to make. So now you're being depleted even through that. Everybody has an opinion nowadays. We tune into our favorite YouTubers, our favorite Instagrammers, our favorite
musicians,
bloggers, musicians, right? When we tune
Facts.
into them, they're all telling us, well, here's what I think, here's what I believe. And now you're taking that in, and as you're going throughout your day, what that's doing now is giving you so much information to where you're like, okay, well, I got to make this decision based on what I believe in that. I got to make this decision. So it's like, even that I feel like is destroying our mental health. And I'll be honest with you, I've been off of social media for over a month now, and I can tell you right now, in all my years of my life, I think my mental health is better than it's been. And that's
great. That's great news, yo.
Every time I do that, it's always the same result. Always the same result.
And I'll say that, like, for me, and then I'll ask OC in a minute. For me, I feel like I have to, like, you guys are into NBA, or maybe like OC. So you heard about, like, let's say they'll, like, load manage certain players. Did he freeze? Oh, well, damn. So I'm not the only one. Like, he actually froze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, damn. This nigga, oh my God. You know why? Because he's on his phone. So somebody might have called him or some shit like that. I don't know. But damn, should I just keep going?
Just keep going. But
it's gonna show in the damn video.
Yeah.
Oh, so you still there? What happened?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. Yo, my Wi-Fi was acting up, so I had to switch it out real quick.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as I went to loop you in, that okay. So anyway, so I was saying to you, because I know you're into basketball. Like, you've heard about, you know, them load managing, like Kawhi Leonard. They load manage, you know, LeBron to you know, avoid, like, certain injuries and things like that. I feel like I have to load manage my time at work. Like, I was telling Percy, like, and I was telling you too the other day, I'm like, even me being there 4 hours is too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, they be there 8 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like once I start to like I feel my energy is getting low, then my room starts to get messy. Then you'll see me with a 5 o'clock shadow. You know, my hair might not be on point. You know what I'm saying? I might not be eating right. I might not be missing the gym. Because it's so real. Like, last year was probably as like the worst that it got, where like they would have me scheduled to be there at like 8:30 in the morning. And then like literally I would just roll out of bed, pack my toothbrush up, and then just speed down there. And then do that every day, like 5 days a week, and not have any energy for myself. I said, I can't do that, yo. Like, I really can't do that. I feel like one of the most detrimental things to my mental health, like in this era right now, for me, is work. It sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, just not everybody is built to be a 9-to-5er, is what I like to call it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, nah, like if I'm gonna have to do it, let me do what's right for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the 40 hours a week, get the grind, because I'm sitting there and I'm serving a purpose. Like, because this is what really drains me. And this is what Kirby was saying. Like, I can't sit there and serve a purpose that has nothing to do with me. I can't sit there. It's like I'm giving so much to something, and the only thing I'm getting back is money every week and a half, bi-weekly. It's like, so when I go to the bathroom and I take a piss at work and I look myself in the mirror, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, why am I really here? You know what I'm saying? And
that's the thing. Like,
I'm gonna let you go. It just weighs on me after a while. It's like, and they don't even realize it. Like, most people, at least people that I work with now, it's like their job is the best thing that ever happened to them, and that's great for you. You know what I'm saying? Like Kirby, he quit. How long ago was it when you quit working Apple?
It was February 2020.
Okay, so that was last year. I bet you.
Unemployment, baby.
How many people did you tell? So what were the reactions when you quit working Apple?
Well, you know what's funny is at first, I didn't really tell people at first. Like, the word literally got around. I wasn't even telling people. I think I told like the people who were really close to me there, that I was leaving, you know, and stuff. But I would say the reaction, you know, what's funny is not only the reaction from the people who work there, but from people outside that I know, like, who don't even work there with me. It was just like, oh, okay, well,
what are you, crazy?
What are you gonna do next? Like,
yeah,
is it? I remember I had somebody told me like, oh, okay, well, like, how are you gonna get paid? Like, I mean, that's not the first thing that comes to my mind. I mean, like, I had like all sorts of different reaction. Of course, I had positive reaction. There are people who like, well, you know, once I told them here's what I'm doing it for, they were just really happy and supportive and telling me, you know, do what you're doing, you know, support, believe and stuff. But there were also people who were, it was like mind-boggling to them, where it was like, wait, what do you mean you're leaving? So like, are you gonna go to another store, or are you go? That's something too. I guess, like, are you going to another store? But
right,
you know, that is a reaction that I see.
I just think, because the point that I was making by asking you that was just the fact that most people, you making a decision like that for yourself, are gonna look at you like you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not something that they would have the courage to do. And then I know, OC, you wanted to say something.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, the thing is, it's about like what works for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're doing something where it's like you feel like you're just sustaining somebody else's like pockets, agenda, dream, vision, whatever, it's not gonna work for you. So
it's not gonna last long.
Yeah, it's not gonna last long. Like, you're gonna be forcing yourself, yo, in that 9-to-5, yo, sitting there just like, yo, I'm just here just for the check. You know what I'm saying? And that joint just affects your mental. You know what I mean? Like, affects your mental. It can be very frustrating, very annoying. Like I remember like Kurt, when you said that, you know, you left Apple, yo, like, I wasn't surprised, yo. And I wasn't one of the people just like, oh, yo, like, oh, so what are you gonna do next? You gonna go to another Apple job? Because like, I've known you for like some time now, know what I mean? And I know what your skills are. I know what you love to do. Right. Like, Apple's not getting you that. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like,
and don't get me wrong, there was times, you know, that I really loved working there. So part of it wasn't even that. But like you said, it's like what works for you. So that's why, OC, one of the definitions you had mentioned when you said mental health is knowing yourself, really understanding how you are, what works for you and what doesn't work for you will help you along in that journey too, because there are some people who work better by themselves. There are some people who work better in teams. There are some people who like guidance. There are some people who like to guide or to create a direction for themselves. So it really does matter on who you are.
see, but to piggyback off of that, I feel like people lump everybody in the same category. And that's why I get pissed off, because there are some people that couldn't even really interpret and like perceive what you just said, how you have different types of people that work better, you know what I'm saying? Like have different types of work styles and work ethics. Because me, I'm the type of guy, I work better by myself. Like if I'm gonna be like, because I don't like to be micromanaged, especially if it's some like simple shit, like don't micromanage me. Like if we're doing something complex, then yeah, I might need some supervision. But if I'm just like, you know, watching dogs like I was doing during the summertime, or if I'm just doing some transactions, like don't fucking breathe down my neck, because it's just not good for me. Like I'll even say, like I just remember, like I quit my job. I quit my job in right after we did that shit. Cause so Kirby had that song, we did a remix, and I'm sitting there listening to that song, driving that shit all the time. And I was like, yo, I'm fucking quit, bro. Like that was part of it though. That was part of that shit. Yo, I was like, I said, clock in, get in line. Y'all can keep the 9 to 5s. Like I was like, yo, like y'all can keep that shit. And I had to do that shit for my mental health, because I just couldn't go on doing that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not sustainable. I'm like giving you guys energy that I know I have to keep for myself, that I know I don't have, you know, enough left, you know what I'm saying, to nourish myself. So I literally had to tear down that foundation. Like you said, like, yeah, there are going to be those like, damn, I just quit. All right, cool. So I got to get on it. But like, I don't regret quitting my job at all. Yeah. Because like, look at where I am now. Because like, if you talk to me right now and you talk to me back then, it'd be two completely different people. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like Kirby helped me record, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, but he helped me make a video called Resolve on my channel. And it was literally about that. Like, I was like, I don't know, like being there so much made me question my existence, because I didn't have anybody around that was like really like, I don't want to say like reassuring me, but like, I just didn't have purpose or resolve. So I was like, what's my resolve to live life? Being there? Like just being there from 10:30 to 5:30 at night, and then like going to the gym, and then by the time I get back from the gym, it's already after 10. It's the only time the only thing I could do left is just brush my teeth, you know what I'm saying, eat one more time, and then go to sleep to wake up to do it again. I'm like, yo, what am I really doing? You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I definitely agree. I'm gonna just piggyback on that. I have these conversations a lot with different people, and it's like at the end of the day, you have to find out what works for you, like y'all all said. And it goes back to the way our society is ingrained. It's ingrained for you to wake up 9 to 5. You know, most people don't go to the gym, so most people do 9 to 5. Maybe got kids to take care of, sleep, and repeat, and they just do that 5-6 days a week. And so, you know, the culture of now, the influencers, the creators, you know, being able to content create, that's still a new foreign concept for people. So, you know, a lot of employers, they're looking at like, wait, you're an actor, you do music, you do photography, what is this? You know, you work for me, you know, your time is for me. And I tell this to every employer before I get hired, this is just a job. I'm a clock in, and when I clock out, I don't want to hear nothing about this job. I don't want you to ask me to come in. Nah, that's it. That's all I'm doing 4 days a week. And a lot of employers, they don't understand that concept. They think, oh, if I need you, you got to come in. It's like, no, because I have other priorities to do, and I have to focus on myself as well. My existence isn't to make your bottom line bigger. My existence is to, you know, sustain my living situation, but also fulfill my purpose. And that's the problem. We live in a society now where your only purpose is to fulfill the obligations of the employer, and then whatever little time you have left. You know, people talk about this all the time. Why is it that we work 5-6 days a week, only get 1 day, 2 days a week off, but during those 2 days, you got to do grocery shopping, you got to take care of your kids, you got errands to run. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it, you only really get maybe a day, 12 hours to yourself. What are you going to do in 12 hours? You can't fly to Cancun in that. So
here's something I wanted to I wrote it down quickly so I didn't forget it. But Dimitri, you have mentioned about how like when your mental health is not on point, like your room gets messy, and you know, you might not be taking care of yourself. That's something that I realized. I realize this. Sometimes I wake up and I look around my room, I'm like, yo, nah, my room's a mess. You know what that means? There's something going on up here.
Yeah,
you know, it kind of gives me a hint, like I need to slow it down and just, you know, do a little bit of check. So, you know, there's like certain signs that I feel like you can see when your mental health is not up to par. So, you know, I'll ask that questions like, what do you guys see in your personal lives that could kind of give you a hint? Like, how do you know when your mental health is not up to par? with how it should be or how you would
So
like it?
I'll probably wait. Oh, so you want to go? Nah, go ahead, bro.
No, because I was gonna, I literally kind of like experienced this probably like a week or so ago. Now I mean, like DJ, so like certain things y'all just peep like when I'm just on edge, like just on edge for every little thing, like
you mean like anxious? Like you feel anxious about things?
This nigga be angry.
Yeah. Word, like, it's funny because like now I'm starting to pick up moments where I can actually be anxious, but I don't really get like anxious like that. Like I don't have like much anxiety like that. But I'm picking up where like in certain pockets it might be there. But for the most part, like I'll like get like irritated or like I'll feel like more tired, sleepy, drained, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'll pick up on those things. You know what I mean? So it's like, some things where it's just be like, one day it's like, it's a little mishap, it's a bad day, whatever, like it is what it is, you move on. Those days, like something like that happens, like I'm ready to just like flip my lid, you know what I mean? And those are like times where I'm like, all right, like I'm not on point, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not Gucci. Like, to be honest with you, there was this one time, I was driving around, and just like, you know what I mean? Like just something threw me off, and like, I just had like other stuff going on too. Like I felt like I was about to drive off the side of the road and just risk it all, just like money, like
risk it all.
But it's funny, but the thing is, it's funny. It's funny. Like, not saying you guys are wrong because it's the way he said it that was funny. But like when this nigga told me that, because we had a conversation, and then I was worried. I was like, I don't know what this nigga means by that shit, but I was like, nah.
Yeah, because I don't get like that too often.
Yeah, like
I don't get like that too
we
often.
need you, James Harden. Don't do it.
The Nets need him, yo. The Nets need him.
So let me ask you this, OC. So when you get like that, when things like that happen in your life and you start to see the signs, like what do you do? How do you deal with that? How do you cope with that?
For me, I like to see. Yeah, that was a great question, 100%. But I like to see things in motion. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, let me see how I can sit back and recalibrate. You know what I mean? Let me see how I can find ways to take the energy that I need. The little energy that I have for myself right now at the moment. How can I create more of that? How can I keep more of that for myself? Just for now. You know what I mean? Because I need that. So it's like, I just need to find ways to recalibrate. It's like, and sometimes there's gonna be certain things that are out of my control. You know what I'm saying? That I can't fix. So I can't, be like, I gotta be on top of this right now. But for the most part, it's like, what are the little things? I know for me, a big part of like my mental health is working out. Like if I don't work out for a period of time, like I become self-conscious physically, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Stuff like that. And it'd be hard for me to go back into it because I'm like, I remember what I used to do before.
Facts.
Now I'm like,
real shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
get them old pics.
Yeah, where you be seeing the old pics, you be like, I used to be, you know what I'm saying? But like, doing it, like it becomes a part of my routine. It actually gives me some type of schedule in and stuff, be a little more organized. So that's something that definitely helps me. I was kind of out of the gym for a minute and I'm like, I got to get back into it. You know what I'm saying? So I got back into it. And just other things, working like, what do I like to do? What are my hobbies? How can I incorporate more of those into my day? You know what I'm saying? And just kind of just being honest with people in terms of just what I might be going through, having conversations. And I'm a spiritual guy too, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a Christian by faith. So for me, like going back to God is just something that helps me personally because it's just like there's just words of certain things I can read that I'm like, like dang, how did I forget this? Why did I? Because we're human, we make mistakes. It be like that, you know what I'm saying? But like certain things like that just lets me know like, it's gonna be all right, you know what I'm saying? And
I will say, so I'll go next. So for me, and it's something that like Percy would say, like I would always do it, but I remember like when like maybe this time last year when we were talking stuff, he would say things like, like you might just have to like take a walk in nature, you know what I'm saying? Like I always find that anytime I'm always in a space where like mad shit is going on, I always find that going for a walk like really kind of just like mellows me out. I'm talking about like just getting in the trees, you know, going in nature, just breathing and just walking, you know, maybe throwing on some tunes. It's a time where I don't have to think about, it's one of two spaces where I don't have to think about anything if I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? OC. See, I was gonna kind of save this for later, but I guess I'll say this now. So like 4 years ago, which is crazy how time passes, but 4 years ago, I was going through probably like, I was on like the last leg of like the worst time period of my life, like mentally. And I remember seeing OC, and then I remember OC asked me, he was like you see me at school, and you were like, you okay, bro, some shit? And then I was like, nah. And then I remember we linked up probably not long after that. And then I remember telling him basically everything that was, you know, going on. I remember I told him everything. Like I just told him like, yo, like, I don't even want to be here no more, like type shit. Like that's just how real it was. And I had been in the gym before, you know, but it's like when I was in the gym prior to that, it was like for what it could do for me aesthetically. Like I just wanted to look a certain way. I wanted to be a certain way type shit. But when I started going, because he was already going to the gym. And so we just kind of like clicked up like after that. So like he kind of like fake like took me under his wing. So we started going to Planet Fitness together like practically like every day, yo. And that was the start of when the gym became a safe space, like a space where like I don't have to think about anything. Like it rebalances me out. It keeps me focused. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool that you said that, because I'll give you your props. Like that was like, it set the foundation for what I do in the gym right now. Like that's just, yeah, like that's just, you know what I'm saying, what I do. So now, yeah, like you want to go to the gym to look better, obviously, but I also go to the gym primarily for what it does for me mentally, because it helps me like tackle, you know, saying the week more. Like even Kirby, like the three of us used to be in the gym like every day. I think that wasn't like not long.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that same year. It was like a couple of years before, but it was the three of us like just going to the gym.
It was definitely, I think it was that year. I think it was that same year. I remember
and it gives like your day structure. You know what I'm saying? It gives your day like a routine. So it's some shit to look for. Because I used to look forward to like coming to the gym, you know, with these two. Like we used to literally be in the gym wasting time like laughing. I don't even know what the fuck we was laughing about. Like literally in Planet Fitness acting the fool and shit. Talking about curb appeal and stuff.
Yo, I forgot about that. What?
Son, I'm telling you,
yeah,
bro.
But you know, like you were saying with the whole gym thing, like this is what I found recently. I started going to the gym again. Like so now I've been going for like a month and a half consistently, and you know, after a while of not going. Mm-hmm. And now, like the way it's so ingrained in me, I don't feel like I'm gonna fall off of that. Like it feels like I've accepted a way of life that's like knitted into my life. But here's what I find: the reason why I really love going to the gym and making it a part of my day, because like you said, is it's like you're not just training your body. I look at it like I'm training my mind, if anything. You know what I mean? Because there's times you're doing certain things and it's not your body you have to push. You have to push mentally to tell yourself, now my body is telling me I'm tired and I've hit my limit, but no, I can keep going more. So I look at it like this is where I go to become more disciplined. So that's why to me, I really love it. And it's like such a essential part of my life, because it's not just like, I look at it like a battlefield for disciplining my body, mind, and I would say even my spirit, because when you're disciplined enough to wake up every day and go to the gym, you're going to have the discipline to, if you're doing that, you're going to have the discipline to wake up every day and do something else and do this and that, you know what I'm saying?
Especially if you stay consistent with it. Because I've been saying this for a little while now, like how you do one thing is how you do all things, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, if you're flaky with like some shit, like we're going to the gym, you're going to be flaky with other things too. Like that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's also like accountability. It's like, yo, it's like, all right, you set a goal for yourself. Like, I'm trying to be this strong by this day. I want to be this weight by this date. If you can do that, you can do anything. Facts.
Those definitely
facts.
And you know what's crazy? I was just watching the Will Smith
That's Saving My Life.
Yeah. And like I knew he
I
knew he was going fanboy. I knew
Where's that shit? Yeah. Nah, anyway, go ahead, bro.
But no, he was talking to he was talking about it too, where it's like, you know, that consistency and growing up in a military family and then losing some of that discipline during the pandemic. And which is why I say I'm glad the pandemic helped, because for me, before the pandemic, it was just work. You know, if I had an audition or two, I'd do it. You know, sometimes half-assed it because I was tired from work. and then I just do the same thing next day, and I would just do that for months. And like then the pandemic hit, and I realized I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like I'm just wasting my life. I'm miserable. I'm tired. I'm not doing what I want to do. And then it was fine.
How many times I call this guy? I be calling like, yo, Percy, what up, man? And he be like, yo, I'm fucking tired, man.
I'll still be tired.
Yo, literally, that's exactly like I'm fucking tired, man.
That New York, man. But now I still be tired. But you know what? The difference is I'm a good tired now. And like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm overworked or whatever. But for the most part, it's the little things like OC said. It's the little things that you do during the day, doing something that you enjoy. And, I always talk about taking a walk in the park. And people might think, it's cliche, whatever, but it's true. Yeah. If you ever realize, humans are connected to Earth in general. So sometimes leaving your room, leaving your apartment, going for a walk, putting on some music or a podcast or something, and just walking for 5 minutes, you'd be surprised on how much your mind clears up when you're not thinking about, oh, damn, I got to finish this assignment tomorrow. Or I got to go to work at 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. You're just taking that time to focus, reevaluate, and you'd be surprised on 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes, what that can do for your mental health. And a lot of people, they get stuck in a routine and it's hard to break that cycle. So, sometimes you need to break that cycle and create a new one to help you in your mental health journey. Because ultimately, like you said, everybody's different. Some people love, going to work, certain time, doing things at a certain time. For a lot of us, we're content creators. We don't have that set schedule for the most part. It's always flipping, flopping. Yeah. We got something this day. Tomorrow we might be free, but the next day is booked up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need that break, whether it's 5 minutes, a week, a day, to just take a moment for yourself, not think about work, school, personal life, and just, refocus everything. And that's why I love the Will Smith thing, because he talked about how
it was real.
He had to refocus. You know what I'm saying? You eating pizza and cheeseburgers and you having a good time. And then one point it hits you like, what am I doing? So. Yeah.
So I guess to really make note of what you just said about like what he was eating and how that affected him. The last time me and Kirby linked up, we were talking about, I think we literally sat there in the car and we were talking about diet and like nutrition, like literally like the whole ride, like either to or from or whatever. And I find
think I
that
was fasting at that time, so that's
okay, yeah. But I find that for me, nutrition and the way that you eat really, or the way that I've been eating, like just, all right, so long story short, to give some context, I stopped eating meat primarily in the end of June, like June 25th. That's June 25th. I stopped eating chicken. I threw all that shit out. And I got into fasting. I don't eat breakfast anymore, you know what I'm saying? And when I go to the gym, like, fasted and everything like that. And the amount of like how I can't stress enough how much it's benefited me, because I just feel completely different. I feel more light, I don't want to say I feel like a different person, but I kind of feel like that. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, just my energy levels is different. OC, when we worked out together, you see me like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo.
The way this man with the jump rope, yo. Only be doing crazy skips, yo, all over the gym with the jump rope, yo. Like, looking like he's doing his own double dutching, yo. And then doing Bobby Brown moves and all that. I'm like, yo, fam. Like, imagine, yo, I'm sitting there struggling.
We got to compete. We got to compete, Dimitri. But yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get you there, yo. So I definitely want to start with Kirby, because the last time I talked to Kirby on the phone, he had just finished a 3-day fast. So elaborate for the folks at home, bro.
Yeah, I feel like everyone should really try fasting. You don't have to do a 3-day fast. There's different ways to fast, and there's different reasons to fast. But I'll give you some. The reason why I was fasting at that time was really more so a spiritual fast. It was to get to, like OC said, like me, I'm a man of faith. So it was to connect with God and get closer to God. And one of the best ways to do it. And not only that, the thing I found about fasting, I feel like I could write a book on fasting. I just did it like 2 times, but it's just, I observed like what happens when I fast. I'll tell you this, the first time that I did it, I did it 3 times. The first time that I did it for real, on the second day, I fell into temptation. I ate some crackers. I was like, oh man.
You broke it, man.
I broke my fast for some crackers, bro. Like not even
a cheeseburger. Come on, man.
some crackers. Like, you know, I was feeling bad and all that stuff. But I really learned a lot from that. You know what I mean? What it showed me was it showed me how as human beings that, you know, we're going to come into those times where we fall into temptation, or basically we fall back, we fail, right? But we have a chance to be okay. So there's two things I could have done. I could have just said, okay, I broke my fast, all right, it's over. So the next day I'm gonna just eat. Or the next thing I could have realized, okay, cool, I made a mistake, right?
Fall forward.
And exactly move forward from that, and I just continued to fast. But the most recent one that I did that one successfully. I ate absolutely nothing. All I had was water for 3 days. It's just water, and during that time I was, you know, I was praying, I was taking walks in nature. I was like, it really did affect me. But I'll say this, since we're talking about the topic of mental health, I'll tell you how it affected me mentally. The first day, it wasn't bad at all. The first day, you know, I remember when I felt the hunger, but you know, it's funny when you know you're fasting, when you know I'm not going to eat for 3 days, when you feel hunger that first time, it's nothing. But think about sometimes during the day, the second you feel, oh, no, I got to get, what is it? Open the pantry. Yeah. I'm hungry. I got to eat. But when I'm doing it and I'm doing it intentionally, what happens is that, okay, the second I feel that, I know it's nothing. This is just like the gym for me. It was like working out. I know this is nothing. The second day, I did feel, I didn't really feel hungry, but I felt I remember there was a time where I felt a little lightheaded. I got through it. The real challenge came on the third day. That was the day, that was the battle for me. And on the third day, I remember that day I woke up and I was supposed to, there were so many things I was supposed to do. The day before, mind you, I was really active. I was here in the studio that day. I was shooting all day. So I was just very physically active. So it did, you know, take an effect on me. But the third day, I remember I was hungry. My body felt physically weak. There were so many things that I had to do. And there were times where I said, I have to lay down. But you know what? I really enjoyed that experience. The reason I enjoyed that experience because it was just like being in a gym. I realized that what my body is telling me, and even what my mind is telling me right now, is not it for me. Because remember, part of it, I told you, was part of my goal was to strengthen my faith and get closer to God. So of course I was reading the Bible, I was praying, and guess what? It was faith that led me through it, because I remember I got to a point where it was close to I was ending my fast at 8 p.m. So I was close to it, like about 4 hours in, and I was just, I was feeling weak, so weak that I had to lay down. I was spending time just laying down. I was feeling lightheaded, and I was just feeling weak. But, you know, after I did all that I had to do, I prayed, and I just, I meditated on it. And something amazing happened. After all that time, when I got closer, now it's 2 hours within, I felt stronger than ever. It was just like in a gym when you might think you've hit your limit. I don't know if I could push enough. Then you go and you push one more. And then you push one more on top of that. And you realize I have so much more left in me. So for me, those 3 days, it was a day after that. The next day I woke up after my fast, I had clarity of mind. My mind, it was just quiet. I didn't have thoughts bouncing all over the place. I wasn't bombarding my thoughts. You know, of course, during that day, I'm also fasting from social media. I mean, I've been fasting for social media for months now. But, you know, because I don't have all these things coming
outside, external. See, because this is something that I said to OC Lily the other day, and it's something that I found out for myself, and it's something that I'm implementing so that way I can live by it. And it's the fact that the mind is not capable of making decisions, okay? Because throughout your life, your mind has been exposed to so many external influences that has been the subject of conditioning for a long time. So is your mind really you, or is it what you've been conditioned to think? Your mind can only ponder certain decisions. Where I'm going with this is the fact that, see, you thought you were hungry because your mind told you were hungry, but what was on the other side of that? You see what I'm saying? It was a completely different side to that. That's just one thing that I just wanted to mention because it blew my mind when I thought about it. Because it's like, I personally, for me, I don't know about it, but for me, I have to go with like my intuition, like my gut feeling. I can't go with my mind because if I go with my gut feeling, it's only going to tell me once, but my mind is going to tell me 10,000 different things.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I find that, and it might help other people, that like you can't listen to your mind because when you're in the gym and you lifting weights, your mind is going to tell you, you know what? Nah, I'm going to just, because that happens to me too. Like shit, I might be, you know what I'm saying, doing like I don't know, like bench press or some shit, and I'm at 3 reps. I'm supposed to do 6. I'm at 5. I'm like, you know what? I might just be good at that. Nah, my mind told me to stop at 5, but I know I can actually go on, and my body's telling me I can continue going, but my mind is telling me otherwise. So that's just something I just wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, that'd be a little dangerous, yo, especially when you bench pressing by yourself. Yo, you try to go for that extra.
Yeah, yo, son. Yo, facts. And at my gym, nobody will help
Somebody
you.
help him.
That happened to somebody.
They gonna look at you like, look at this man. He thought he got that.
Yo, nobody helped this man. That shit happened like last year. I remember that shit like it was yesterday. Nigga, whole shit went like that. I turned around, everybody just looked at this man. Nobody helped him. Dude was like,
it was like this.
I was like, yo.
That's what I was gonna say. Yo, y'all see
like,
that?
wow.
This man is
like,
world star.
Yeah, I'd be like, sir, you know, I need you to spot me, please, because I don't want to be that guy. Especially I'm like one of like.
Don't be that guy, bro.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Don't be that guy, man.
Yeah, so.
But, you know, on the terms of fasting, I don't do 3 days. I fast every day, usually 20 to 24 hours, right? And when I first started, it's because my diet was crap. I was eating a lot of potato chips, you know, candy, whatever I could get my hands on. And I realized when I was doing it, after doing it for a while, I felt I had more energy. I had more time in my day. Because when you think about our schedules, right, we usually operate according to how we eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you know?
Facts.
And then once you break that cycle, you realize you free up a lot more time. Instead of spending, you know, 3 hours wondering about what you're going to do for lunch, you're thinking about, you know, what can I get done, you know, tonight or tomorrow?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally different.
And like, there's a lot of benefit. I'm not here to preach to the choir. If you want to try it, you know, try it. If you don't, you don't. Because, you know, if you're an iron worker, I don't know if fasting 24 hours going, you know, is safe for you. But I think there's certain things you can do to change that. And fasting has been helpful for me because now I have more energy to do things. My body's accustomed to it. So now I'm not thinking about what I'm going to eat at noon. I'm thinking about, all right, what can I do this podcast I did? Or, you know, let me call my family, or, you know, let me take care of these errands. And
the
so
thought process is different now.
Right. You know, and like you said, Dimitri, a lot of people forget that what you put in your body does play a part on your mind. Because think about it. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever had a nice Saturday, you eating pizza, drinking beer, you know, have that cheeseburger in your hand, and it feels good. And then you wake up in the morning, your brain all scrambled, you feel sloppy, you feel just out of shape, you just feel terrible. You know what I'm saying? So you also have to take and consider, you know, is that pack of Oreo cookies, you know, really worth it? You know, and I'm not here to say you can't enjoy it, because I have brownies every night after I eat dinner. But there's a balance to everything. And I think that's really just what it comes down to. You have to balance your life. And, you know, you can't let one thing overtake, you know, the rest of your life. And I think that's a big problem with our society, is that a lot of times it's work that overtakes, you know, life. And, you know, you just got to be able to balance the things that make you happy. So.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. I mean, to piggyback off of what he said real quick, because he used to tell me that he was like that, he fasts and stuff. And I remember I was like, oh, I'm too skinny for all of that. I was like, what, fasting? Hell no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never do that. I'd probably lose 30 pounds and shit like that. Then mind you, fast forward a year later, it's like my mind and my body does not revolve around food. because it was a calculated decision for me to stop eating meat and to change my diet and to incorporate, you know, an extended amount of fasting, because that's why they call it breakfast, because you're breaking the fast. You know what I'm saying? People think they're slick, and then they call it the most important meal of the day, when in fact, the most important thing that your body is doing is actually giving you fuel. You know what I'm saying? It's processing what you ate yesterday and then giving you energy for the day. But instead of you allowing your body to do that, you put some more food in there. And then you effectively stop everything that it was starting to do. Because a lot of times when you feel like hungry or like you feel kind of off, you get a headache, that's because your body's doing something other than digesting food. In one of the books that I read, it said that, you know, life is a tragedy of nutrition. Like, and that's a fact, because you look at a lot of people's ailments and stuff, it really boils down to what they've been putting in their system their entire life. The only reason why type 2 diabetes exists is because in Western society, foods is just like chicken, meat, this, that, and the third. And in reality, it's just like, yo, like, you have to live with what you put in your system, you know what I'm saying, 20 years, 30 years. And then by the time you reach your 50s or whatever, your body's not strong enough to be able to counteract all that stuff. And then a lot of time, most people anyway, they're like, I mean, me personally, if I went to like the Haitian buffet, or if I went to go to like the diner and shit and eat, I feel lethargic after I eat all that stuff. You get the itis and shit like that. But when I eat what I eat right now, I don't feel like that. I eat and then I can still go. I don't eat and it doesn't feel like debilitating. Like, eating food should not, you know, reduce your energy. It should give you energy. But most people, they don't think that.
No, for sure, yo. Like, it's crazy because I've kind of been experiencing that too. Like, I've been doing more like intermittent fasting because like I work out in the morning, and then another thing that like I realized, you know how they be like, oh, you have to eat like right after you get out the gym, like, yo, that 30-minute, that hour window, like, you gotta eat this.
Yeah,
like,
we used to go crazy over that. We used to go crazy over
yo,
that.
we used to go OD crazy.
Like, yo, like, I gotta go home, I gotta eat, bro.
Yeah, yo, we were literally
like in the car, like, hold on, that protein shake.
Yo, word, big old protein shake, yo. Like, yo, that joint messed me up, bro. Like, for real. Like, yo, I got mad huge fast, yo. But it's like, it was all for show. Like, I wasn't really strong like that, or like as strong as I thought I should have been. But then again, it's like, you can only really do so much. Like, when we was at Planet Fitness at the time, you can only really do so much, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But, you know, I wasn't as strong as I knew I should have been. I felt mad sluggish, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, I'm trying to reach a weight and reach a certain stuff that's just not meant for my...
For aesthetics.
No, not even for aesthetics. It's like, well, like, yeah, you know what I mean? At the same time, I wanted to get stronger. So me knowing that I wasn't getting stronger, I just looked big. I was like, yo, I wasn't feeling that. You know what I'm saying? And the extra weight that I was putting on, I'm like, yo, naturally, genetically wise, this weight ain't meant for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't meant for me. But I kept on having it in my head where it's like, yo, I gotta eat something right now. I gotta get the protein shake. I gotta do the extra caloric intake. Yo, you don't need all that, know what I mean? Like, and even with like an extra caloric intake, you don't have to go so crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're overloading your body. I did that, like gargling fucking protein shakes, eating mad food. Like, oh, I gotta have 4,500 calories a day. And in reality, you're doing your body a disservice. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to think, you know, and then we'll switch topics because this is like mad, like athletics and shit. But because I used to think, oh, you know, I could be 200 something fucking pound. I thought, like, you know what I'm saying, that was some shit that I can do. And this was like 2016. So then I was doing things according to what I thought that I could achieve. And in reality, like, none of that is actually good for your body, especially like now. It's like, I talked to a doctor and he was like, yo, like, I'd rather you eat 3 Big Macs instead of motherfucking a protein shake and shit that says it's got like, what was it that I was drinking? Serious Mass. And it's like it's like this protein shake that I don't even know how many fucking calories it's supposed to have in one serving, but what? Like, that's just mad unhealthy. So, and put it like this, and mind you, that preceded the worst mental space that I've ever been in my life. Like, ironically enough, because I did that from like May, like really like May and then early June. And then that's when like shit just kind of got out of whack. And then from pretty much that point, June until February, March the next year was just like really like the worst months of my life.
Yeah, yo, and it's like, yo,
ironically enough,
it's like some people, they can do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like we said before, yo, like you got to do what works for you, what makes sense for you, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, I know a few people, yo, like a few of my friends, they be like a little shorter than me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm only 5'9", you know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not tall. But like with my size, you know, me going to like 200 pounds just because genetically wise, like, you know, it's going to be tough for me. Like, I'm not going to move around the way I want to and stuff like that. Like, I do other things outside of lifting weights, you know what I mean? Like, I like to play ball a lot and stuff like that. I like to run. I'm not trying to, you know, like, I'm not a running back, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm not a linebacker. I have friends that be like my height or a little shorter than me that can carry all that weight, and move around like no beef. You know what I mean?
It's genetics, like, yeah, like, just everybody's body's different.
Just genetics, you know what I'm saying? So they can do that. They can eat all the meals. They can do all that stuff and you know, be chilling. So you just gotta pay attention to what works for you, you know what I'm saying? And you know, don't believe the hype where it's like you gotta eat all these meals, you gotta eat like 6 meals a day and all this stuff. Like, yo, you don't need all of that. Yo,
who was that guy? Who was that guy from like years ago? That little inside joke that we had. This nigga was like, he's like, y'all pulled up to a fucking restaurant or some shit. This nigga was like, yo, I'm on my 10th meal, yo.
Oh yeah. Yo, homie was, I remember that. Yo, homie was like 18 years old, looking like he was 35. So
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? So, but to switch topics a little bit, I think I don't know if this was the Jubilee episode that you did, but I think, did they ask about therapy in the Jubilee episode?
Yeah,
like, it was like, yeah, I don't know, like I guess explain on that before I start to expound the shit.
Yeah, so you know, go check that out. It's called, well, they changed the title. It's called "Do All Black Men Think the Same?" But it was basically just a panel, 6 black men. And one of the questions we talked about was therapy, and basically how it's a stigma in the black community. And as black men, you know, this ties to mental health, that there's this thing where you just push forward, you know, you man it out, you tough it out, you know what I'm saying? Be a man, stuff like that. And we were just talking about therapy and, you know, do we see therapists or what do we do, you know, to help with our mental state, mental health and stuff like that. So it was a good conversation, you know why? And if it was important for me because it is a very overlooked thing in our community. And I shared my story in a video, so go check that out if you want to.
Jubilee, yeah, like millions of fucking views, like big, like huge YouTube channel, and he's been on like 3 episodes so far.
5, get it right, boy. No, I'm kidding.
So, but I was gonna ask you guys because we're all black, and I have my like run-ins, not too many, so I couldn't really say. But have you guys ever dealt with, you know, like someone saying like, oh, you know, therapy, you shouldn't go to therapy, you know what I'm saying? Or like, have you had any like experiences with the stigma of therapy at all?
Oh, most definitely. And I talked about it in the video a lot. When I was a kid, when I was in foster care, one of the things that the foster agency did was they gave me and my brothers that was with me a therapist, and we used to go to, you know, walk through Central Park, eat pizza, and he just asks us questions and, you know, talk about our family and stuff like that. And I look back at those memories because it really kind of went through and, you know, really try to find myself a little bit. If it would have lasted longer, I think my journey would have been a little better. But I think in terms of that moment at the age I was, it definitely helped me. Nowadays, I'm not really big into therapy. I know there's a big thing in the black community, especially in the hood. You don't see therapists, you know, they just people you pay who really don't care about, you know, what you really say. You know, they just collecting a paycheck, which, I mean, that's in every profession. But that's why I was talking about like the walks, going to, you know, nature and stuff like that. Because for me, talking to people definitely helps. And I think that's a big part of it. But I do think at some point you also have to take care of yourself. You know, you're not always going to have, you know, us to, you know, have a, you know, a shoulder to cry on, you know what I'm saying?
This
and
nigga quoted me, yo. I fucking said that shit. Didn't I say that shit to you over the phone, OC? I said some shit like that. Yeah, I said some shit like that. See, y'all, I influence y'all, man. That's cool. You quote me. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
You know how I do, man. I'm big time now. No, stop. No, but I think as black men, and I was actually going to ask you about that because I think it is a big thing in our community for, you know, not being outspoken. And I remember we was doing a podcast for mine, Dimitri, when we was talking about Will Smith, and we seen how he getting dragged through the mud, you know, the memes of him crying and, you know, breaking down, talking about his kids and his marriage and stuff. People dragging this man, you know what I'm saying? And I think as black men, we definitely get the short end of it. You know, they don't care about our trauma. They don't care about, you know, us growing up in the hood or the projects or our living situation. They just say, hey, you're black, you know, tough that up, be a man, man up, and take care of your business. And I think that's doing more harm than good. That's why we have a lot more black people shooting each other, fighting each other, in prison, because a lot of them didn't get the opportunity to focus on themselves and grow. Exactly. And I think that's a big problem in our community.
So
let me I was gonna
go ahead, bro. I was actually gonna ask you anyway.
Yeah, so I feel like part of the thing is therapy. What is really therapy? It's I like to look at it as treatment. Now, whether a person goes to therapy or not, I feel like part of the problem that we all have is that, especially in this generation and time, is that people don't know how to cope with problems, right? Especially as men. I feel like that's a big responsibility for fathers, especially, to take on to probably teach their children, especially men, how to properly deal with problems. Because here's what I noticed in this generation: what happens when people have problems? They run, they escape. They either escape to a bottle, to smoking, to just of doing anything to avoid actually coping with the problem. It's something that I noticed that we do as a generation. And, part of that is why I'll say two things. I feel like, okay, when it comes to the topic of therapy, right? I feel like on some level, everyone should experience that, whether they think they need it or not, because at the end of the day, the best thing you could get from it is knowing yourself a little bit better, because sometimes it's kind of hard. I mean, if you're sitting there, you could think about certain stuff, right? But if when you think about it, when you talk to somebody, sometimes you feel like, oh man, I feel like I have a weight lifted off my shoulder, because you express outwardly.
Yeah.
Instead of inward expression, right? So that's why a lot of times you go to a therapist, they don't have to say anything. You could just sit there and unpack and you talk. Man, I feel better already. And they're like, all right, cool. I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
With my money.
Yeah, exactly. And that, but part of it is like that. A lot of us are not taught how to properly even cope with problems. So for some people, there are certain things they might go to therapy for that. Before they even do that, a step might be to say, well, how do I deal with this problem? Because whenever something happens in my life, whenever I'm under stress, whenever I'm under pressure, whenever I feel this, I run away to something, right? I feel like we have like a new way of life is escapism. And sometimes we're not aware of it. We're escaping to some people escape to the gym. Some people escape to things that are more toxic, right?
And not deal with shit anyway. Not deal with anything, yeah.
Exactly. So, my whole thing is that I feel like the first things first is to understand, well, how do we even cope? Because if we don't know how to cope ourselves, even going to a therapist, there are certain times it might not be effective because we already don't know how to cope with ourselves. We're expecting they're just going to come there and say, hey, here's what's wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Part of it is, well, let me understand, sometimes they might just say, well, have you thought about this? And if you have done the inner work yourself, you can say, well, you know what? I actually haven't thought about it in that way. Or, I was thinking about this and that, but I didn't think about it like that. But they might say something where if you're not used to doing that inner work, you're like, why are you asking me what I think about it? I'm trying to tell you what I feel.
So what I'm going to say, am I really the only one in here that has been in therapy before? So I guess so, probably. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I've been in therapy, but nothing crazy.
Okay, so all right, so I'm somebody that from 2016 to pretty much earlier this year, I've been in therapy on and off. So I've had therapists for 4 to maybe 5 months where I saw them regularly once a week. I have just innate coping mechanisms that I do, or that just happen when, certain things are happening to me. But I feel like why therapy is so important is because a lot of times people go through life and they're carrying a lot of shit that they don't even know that they're carrying. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times they take it out on other people and they project things on other people, not realizing that they themselves are the problem, or they don't want to confront or deal with a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Because even you can go to therapy, but I feel like some people, they go to therapy and then they don't even keep it real with the therapist. Because in one way, I can say from being in it so long that whatever it is that I took from it or whatever it is that I got from it had less to do with the therapist herself and had more to do with me. Because I think what I said to you in the car before when we were talking about doing the episode is I say that therapy is really what you make it. You know what I'm saying? Like a therapist can't really do anything for me. Like you said, like you sit there and then you present what's going on in the inside, and a therapist is just an unbiased perspective or someone that professionally has some sort of experience and can give you, you know, insight and information. I'll tell you, because what really kind of made me more comfortable with going to therapy is because basically, so back in 2016, I used to like watch Tyrese videos, and he used to have these videos on Facebook where he would talk about a lot of shit that most celebrities don't talk about. Like he would say, like, you know, just because, you know, you invite somebody invites you somewhere doesn't mean you have to show up.
Oh, I remember that.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like, yo, that, like, and I used to listen to that shit all the time. Like, or how he would say that, you know, you are in charge of your day, your week, your month, and your year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or what was one other thing? Or how he said, like, you are a cup, and like you're like a cup of water, and then you are allotted this much energy in a day. And then every time you do something, so you go to work, it's a little water. You go here, you go there. When you have an argument with somebody, that's like tipping over the whole cup of water. And then that changed my perspective. Like, that's why I don't even want to get into it with anybody, because I have to go to sleep with myself every night. So, but I think I would recommend everybody, well, see, but here's the thing, because there's trash therapists and there are good therapists, but I would recommend people going to therapy being open, because you can't go to therapy and be closed off. Like, I'll tell you, like, I used to talk about, you know, certain things, and I was real about the mistakes that I made. I can't sit there and then paint myself to be the perfect guy, because if that was the case and everybody was just sitting there doing me wrong, then why do I really need to go to therapy? If you know what I'm saying, like, I never made a mistake and I was always the good guy in every situation. Nah, like I went there completely transparent. Like, yo, this is what happened. This is exactly what happened. This is exactly what was said. And this is how, you know, all of that made me feel as a result of what was said and done or not done. You know what I'm saying? I think there are people that I can think of right now that probably would never step foot into therapy, not because, you know, going to therapy or seeing or talking to somebody is the hard part, but being real is the hard part. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not easy to say, like, you know what, I was the one that fucked up our relationship. I was the reason that, you know, I did this or that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that people confronting their like inner demons and things, you know what I'm saying, that they don't want to talk about, I think that's what scares people. That's what puts people off. Because I know a lot of Black people that wouldn't do that shit because they don't think they have a problem. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, it's normal to just, you know, like put a piece of tape over it and then just never talk about it. There's some things that happened to people 20 years ago that like fucked them up and they never talked about that shit. Why do you think Will Smith is just now talking about this? Because he never really talked about it. That man is 52 in therapy. And I bet you there's a lot of 50-something-year-olds and people in that age bracket, people in our age bracket that can use from that. Like, it really, honestly, for me, it really started in high school, because I used to sit and I had like basically just not the best home life, you know what I'm saying? It was trash, you know what I'm saying? OC, you know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, when I would sit and I'm supposed to be talking to the guidance counselor about which classes I want to take for the semester, whatever it is that was just going on the inside, it just started to come out. So that was my first experience talking to a complete stranger about what was really going on. You know what I'm saying? And I just believe that, and mind you, I mean, OC, you can kind of speak to that where, you know, it's uncomfortable for people to want to talk about these things, because a lot of times, like Spoken Reasons, he says this shit, and I feel like it's true. It's like a double-edged sword. It's true, but at the same time, it's not true. What he always used to say is, you know, 99% of all people don't give a damn about your problems are probably glad you got them. Like, he used to say that a lot. And in some cases, it's true. You know what I'm saying? But let's say like OC, and I'll let you explain in a minute. I'll just kind of, you know, give some context. So OC was just having a little bit of a hard time. And then when I asked him, I was like, yo, you good, bro? Like, are you all right? And then, you know, when he finally told me, I was like, yo, like, why didn't you tell me this stuff? And then, you know, you tend to think that like everybody got their own problems, so why would they give a fuck about mine? So, you know, OC, I'll let you kind of talk about that a little bit if you want.
No, that's a fact, yo. Like, honestly, you know, that's an issue that I have. like I don't like to bother people with things I got going on in my day to day. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like, yo, you know what? I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna see. You know what I mean? Because like for the most part, I have an idea of like what to do, but it's not always easy to execute. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you be on that roadmap, and then yo, something just sets you off, yo, and then it's like, you know what I mean, back to square one or whatever. Like it'd be tough, you know what I'm saying? And you know, knowing like, you know, what DJ has been through and stuff like that, you know, there's just certain things that he's been through that I haven't been through. There's certain things that that I've been through that he hasn't been through, you know what I'm saying? In that circumstance, I'm just like, yo, you know what? I know his history and all that. Yo, let me not bother homie, you know what I'm saying? But it's wild because he should have been the first one that I spoke to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because like, you know, he understood where I was coming from in that point. You know what I'm saying? And I'll bring it back to therapy. You know, when it comes to like looking for a therapist, you got to find somebody that's comfortable with you. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was telling you, DJ, this episode of like This Is Us. You know, I forgot his name, but like, if anybody watches This Is Us, not me, you could just comment and be like, yo, this is homie.
Yeah.
But you know, the black guy was like these triplets, and they all grew up. Not me, but he was adopted. He's the only black guy in the family. He realized that he had to seek therapy. The therapist that he was with, not saying that race should be a factor. It doesn't always need to be a factor. But he felt that in that moment, he was surrounded by white people his whole life. He needed to connect with somebody that, you know, understood him being a black man. And, you know, the therapist he was talking to, there were just certain things and topics that he felt naturally he didn't want to bring up or talk about because she was a white woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's like, yo, let me, you know, and he told that to her. He said, yo, like nothing against you. It's just, I need to find another therapist because there's certain things I'm not able to talk to you about or I don't feel comfortable talking to you about. And she was just like, yo, it's fine. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like your health is important. Just want to make sure that you're good and stuff like that. And that's it. So he did what he had to do. So it's like finding the right therapist that matches you. It could be, you know, the same race as you, not the same race as you, somebody that hears you, whatever, like just somebody you can connect with, somebody that just understands, you know what I'm saying? Because that makes a big difference, yo. Like, and, you know, with therapy, like, yo, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you have a problem. It doesn't mean that you're trying to solve any problems. You just want to be in a position where you can better understand yourself. And if there's somebody on the opposite end that can help you with that, that's professionally trained to do that, yo, take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Take advantage of it. And at the end of the day, like, and what you like here, you were saying, Percy, because like me too, like I'm not gonna recommend therapy on everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, what you gotta go to therapy? Like, nah,
like
yo, this, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you gotta go.
Like a salesman. Jehovah's Witness, go to therapy. No.
Well, showing up your door like, yo, you went to therapy yet? Like, nah.
That's gonna be Dimitri. If he'll make it to acting.
But the thing, just you know why? Because I think it's not necessarily. I just know that it doesn't. Well, it does cost money, but I would say that like. I mean, you know what's funny? I would say that what I feel like costs me nothing can cost somebody everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why you're right. Like, you can't. Oh, you could kind of like suggest it, but I couldn't say that everybody, you know, should go to, you know, should be in therapy because again, it takes a certain type of openness that some people just don't have. But like I said, so let's say, you know, and I guess I can kind of segue into it where I feel like in our case scenario, you know, like I told you, I said, yeah, you know, most people might not give a fuck about your problems, but I said, I'm actually your friend. Like, I care. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not going to be a time where you're like, yo, bro, like, you know, like like you're going to tell me some shit. I'll be like, oh, damn, that's wild. And then like most motherfuckers say, you know, saying our era, like, because people, it's like most people, they want to know like how you're doing, but they don't really want to know how you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm like,
yo, in times like that, you know, in moments like that, like say like, you know, like, you know, thank God that you my friend, that you my brother, that you actually care. You know what I'm saying? In situations where say like, you know, people don't really like care, you know, or want to understand or want to listen to you or whatever. in those times they might give you advice where it's just like, yo, it's just not conducive to your situation. It don't help you no type of way.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, like if you're not really trying to like always trying to like talk to people, or you know, like if you're in a space where like you love to talk to people, but those people don't always have the time for you, or might not give you the right advice, give you the right understanding. Or if you're a person where you don't necessarily want to bother people with your problems, which is not always good, but you know, I understand. But if you either of those two people, you should go find a person that will get paid
Exactly.
Like to listen to, you know what I'm saying? And you know, with that, like take those coping mechanisms that they teach you and use it in your own spare time. You know what I mean? Like
I will say that what's funny, they didn't teach me coping mechanisms at all. I feel like what they all taught me, because I'll tell you, my first experience with like a professional therapist was trash. Like this guy was literally just like what Kirby said, like just sit there, talk to me, and then be like, all right, so when's the next check? Like when's the next time you coming in? And then like when we finally would kind of strike oil or kind of get, you know, warmer is when like the session went in, and I'll walk out like, yo, like what did I, you know what I'm saying? Like what just happened? Like I got nothing from this. But the women that I started seeing after, because the first one was a guy, never again. All the women after the fact, they taught me, especially the first one, because the first one was the one that I really saw for a long time. She taught me how to ask myself the right questions type shit. Because I tell y'all, like, it was so bad. And I think OC, you know the story. I think Percy, I might have told you this shit. And maybe Kirby too. There was a time where she was like, what? She was like, okay, so I'm gonna write your name in the middle of the piece of paper. Write good things to say about yourself. She was like, you know, like give yourself compliments, like, you know what I'm saying? And then the first time we went through that, I had nothing good to say about myself. I think I probably said like 2 things. Like literally, she was like, you know what I'm saying? 2 things. Like, and I still have the second paper to this day. Like, that's just how bad it was. So, and then over time, so like our last session, she did the same thing. I filled up the whole paper. Like I filled up the whole entire paper. But what they taught me was not coping mechanisms, but how to ask myself the right questions, which could be anything. Because even now, it's like I'm not in therapy right now, but you know, I know how to, you know, ask myself the right questions. So some shit happens, I know how to kind of like pick it apart and then really examine.
But that in itself is a coping mechanism. That in itself is a.
You know what's funny? Because I know my coping mechanisms actually are. I wouldn't consider that one of them. That is just an approach I would consider. Okay. Like it's just how like it's analytical. Like I could really kind of break down a situation into each particular piece, and then kind of like it is weird. But like my coping mechanisms are actually like some like things that I was just doing my whole entire life that still work for me. Because like I'm unlike other people. I say one of my coping mechanisms is picking up the phone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's something that I always, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like that. Like if I feel like, yo, I'm going through some shit and I feel like Kirby is the right person to talk to, or he can, you know, shine a light on like my darkness, I'm going to call Kirby, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to get a hold of him if I can. If I can't, for whatever reason, I'll move down the list. You know what I'm saying? Like, OC, how many times, and you know, like how many times have I tied up your line or came through to your house anytime some shit was happening? Anytime some shit was happening, I've walked to this guy's house when shit was going off. Percy, like, and I'll say like, anytime I was really going through shit, like if I didn't call Percy, I don't even know where I would be at right now for certain situations. And like, Percy, you know that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why
I was close to blocking your ass. No.
I'll be tying up his line. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you might, you know what I'm saying, have to do that. Because if you don't, it's like, yo, a certain situation might not go the best because you didn't ask for guidance. Because that's all it really is. It's like you're guiding somebody in a better direction.
But check this, though. Like, it doesn't always need to be like, you know, that deep or that big or like to that point where it's like, dang, like I'm really in need, so I have to like find something really quick to like. It could just be like something like, say for example, like, you know, like if I'm stressed, so I might feel overwhelmed or something like that. I know for me, tackling things one thing at a time helps me. Know what I mean? It gives me peace. Like, it gives me like kind of just stability mentally, where I could just kind of just chill out and be like, all right, like, and just like the overall day, yo, not looking at like huge successes. But be like, all right, yo, I did laundry today.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
I did that, yo. You know what I'm saying? I banged that out. Like, yo, like I paid a bill. You know what I'm saying? Like I tackled this bill. Or like, yo, if I knew I couldn't pay the whole thing, know, let me see if
At
I
least you
can
paid
make a
some, you
payment
made a
plan.
little bit of
Yeah, you know what I
progress.
mean? Let me make this payment plan or something like that with them. Like
Mhm.
tackle things like that. Like, yo, just breaking it down, doing it one thing at a time, and not looking at like as like this huge thing. Like certain stuff like that. Like for me, I see stuff like that as coping mechanisms because it's like it kind of just takes you, like sometimes you just be in it and you feel like you just surrounded in this cloud, like you feel like overwhelmed, you know what I'm saying? It just allows you to kind of take a step back and just calm down for a little bit and just be like, all right, yo, how can I better look at this situation? You know what I'm saying?
Kirby,
And,
Kirby,
like,
you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, to further add on to that, that this kind of goes back to what I was saying. A lot of things that you just said, Dimitri, and what you were saying, OC, where I was saying that it kind of goes back to, it does go back to the source. It's like understanding how to deal with the source, where I feel like a lot of us were never properly taught. And I'm not talking about what we're taught through social media or like general media, or what we're taught through societal ways. We were never actually taught, because we're individuals. Would you tell somebody works for some, you know what I mean? Like most people, they grow up and they see people go to therapy when they have problems. So they think if I have something, I have to immediately go to therapy. But part of it, what I was saying is, if you don't know how to deal with certain things yourself, it doesn't matter what answer you're going to get. It doesn't matter what person. You can go to therapy and it does not help you. You can call a friend and it does not help you, because if your bucket has a hole, it doesn't matter how much water you put in it, it's always going to
It's always going to drain.
So you have to understand how to patch the hole when your bucket has a hole. So part of it is understanding, well, okay, even if I do receive advice, because, a lot of times, like I have a friend, they always call me when they have problems. And I feel like I give pretty good advice. And I'm not just saying that because it's what I think, it's just something I've been told. So I feel like there's times I've given them solid advice to the point I'm like, man, why I can't give myself advice like that when I need myself?
It be like that,
Yeah,
yo.
yeah.
It like that.
Definitely be like that.
I feel like I've really poured a lot into him, but I find that a lot of times it's like he'll be, oh man, yeah, okay, that's great, and he doesn't apply any of it, or he'll just come back and say this and that. I'm like, well, did you try what I said? Well, I mean, not really. But the thing is, it goes back to the same thing. If your bucket already has a hole in it, it doesn't matter how much water I put into it. The water is just going to seep right out. So if he doesn't know how to patch that hole, when you patch the hole, when you know how to patch the hole, then somebody pours a little bit of water and somebody else pours a little bit of water. Eventually, your bucket will be filled. So part of it, I think it really does start with that. We never were actually taught how to properly deal with things. And like, I think earlier in the conversation, Dimitri had said, what works for a general mass of people is not going to work for the individual. It's the same way school systems, when it comes to the school system and the education system, the way one person learned doesn't work for everybody else, because if you're trying to teach a fish how to climb a tree and you judge it by that, the fish is going to think, I'm stupid. I don't know how to climb a tree. But a monkey will say, I'm the smartest one in this school. So it's the same way. If you try to, if most people get their idea of how to cope from society, generally they're gonna try that, and it's just not gonna work. And then they're always gonna keep seeking something else and something else. For
I like where you went with that.
Yeah, and like you said, OC, when you're in that position, sometimes what helps is you take things one at a time, right? So with that, it's like if you have, let's say you come under some major overwhelming problems, and you're like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to take things one at a time. And even you're doing that, so it's helping, but it's still overwhelming. So you seek outside help. Now, whatever they pour into you, right? They could tell you whatever advice, whatever they pour into you, in yourself, you already have a basis, you have a foundation. So you're going to take everything they told you and you're going to do it one at a time.
Right.
So that's part of why it's important to also know, well, I know that for me, this is something that works, but it's like, you can't just be like, well, this is something that works because it's what you've always done. You have to really find out, well, number one, am I being projective or reflective? Because a lot of times when we have problems, what we do is we project it, we put it on somebody else, but we're never reflective. We never think, well, a lot of times we'll be like, well, this person did this to me, so now I feel this way. But we never think, well, I allowed them to.
most people are not introspective enough. You know what I'm saying? And then like you said, or like I was saying earlier, it's like if they figure out that like, or if the conclusion they come to in their minds is not what they want, then they'll just kind of just put it away. What I was also going to say, I like what you said about, you know, like if there's a hole in it, it doesn't matter what somebody else pours in there, it's always going to come out. And I look at it like, you know, I mean, for me, this is just like my way of thinking, but it's almost like if I tell somebody some shit and like I give them advice or whatever, and then they don't like implement it, or it kind of just goes through one ear out the other based on their actions thereafter. Usually I just look at it like they're just too young to decipher. Like they just haven't had enough experience yet to really figure it out. Because how many times have me and OC had conversations about like women or some shit? We're primarily like women. And then like he said something to me that I never forgot. And he said this to me in 2015. You might remember when we were doing that photo shoot when I started doing my little photography thing. And we were, you know, saying in town. And then I think we were done or we were just getting there, some shit. But I remember he said, he was like, I don't want you to be like 27 and then still complaining about like the same girl or something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like still talking about the same shit. Like I remember he said that. People used to tell me a lot of shit and I had a hole in my bucket. You know what I'm saying? And I was just too young to realize it because it's like, yeah, they're pouring it in, but it was just and just going right out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the reason why people can't really perceive what Kirby was talking about is because people don't spend enough time alone, in a certain kind of alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'll kind of get into it because I wanted to talk about it. I spent a very long, all right, so I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Like I had friends like in school, but these were like school relationships. So you know how you have like a class, you in class, and you got like that one best friend that you kind of rock with, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't have like a friend like OC until I was like, what, 16, 17 years old, some shit like that?
No, not even. Like
that was 2000. I met you in 2009. So I was 16. So I was 15 turning 16 that year, I think.
Word.
Okay. So, and he was like a friend that like, it wasn't just like, oh, like when we're at school, we friends, but like when we're not at school, then you know what I'm saying? And especially like me, every year I had a new best friend. Like I didn't have like the same friend, you know what I'm saying, consistently. You know what I'm saying? So 4th grade, I had one best friend. 5th grade, I had another best friend. 6th grade, you know what I'm saying, so on. I never had like that TV best friend that like, yo, like we're just friends, period. Like we're friends in school, we're friends outside of school, we're friends throughout life. So when I finally got a friend like OC, when I finally got other friends, I started to lean on them a lot. So using Kirby's analogy, I had a lot of holes in my bucket. Like I had a fuck ton of holes in my bucket. And I didn't realize that shit until they weren't around. And it took me a long time to realize that being alone and figuring out that I had those gaps within myself, because I used to use OC to fill certain gaps. I used to use my ex to fill certain gaps, you know what I'm saying? And because of that, I wasn't able to deal with a lot of problems when they weren't there. That's one of the reasons why like that was like my main, you know, coping mechanism, so to speak, was to, you know, send this nigga screenshots of what my girl said, or, you know, to pull up to his house and to talk his ears off and then just talk about it, but then never actually, you know, address the shit. And finally I had to realize that shit, you know what I'm saying, over time, that like being alone and being able to find out that I had those gaps, those, you know, like cracks within myself, and I was able to fill them on my own. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
What that makes you, real quick, I'm gonna let you say that. I just thought about this, but when you have those holes in that you're not really patching them up, I feel like what that leads to is being toxic. And that's why I feel like a lot of people are toxic.
So you're calling me toxic?
A little bit.
Well, you know what? If the shoe fits, if you feel like it.
I think it fits. No.
Well, I will say that you know, I think we've all been toxic at some point. You know,
yeah,
most definitely.
I was gonna say the reason I say that is because what happens when you have a hole in your bucket and somebody pours into it and it leaves, what you're gonna do now is you're gonna keep, you know, going to try to seek more so that you can fill it in more. But what you're not doing is filling somebody else's bucket because your bucket's always empty. So, I always think of a toxic a person, or like I think about what makes a person toxic. I mean, there's levels to toxicity. There's levels, especially when it comes to women. But what I think about is somebody who's never pouring into, but is always taking from. Like, you ever think about a friendship where you feel like it's one-sided, where it's just like, oh man, they always want something from me, but I never even get anything fulfillment or anything like that. So that's kind of like, one of the things that I look at it. But Percy, you were gonna say something, so I'm gonna let you go on.
Oh yeah, you mentioned the hole in the bucket and a lot of things Dimitri said, and of course OC, which I said was true. And going back to originally, we've talked about this plenty of times. The Jubilee video. One of the reasons why I talk about it a lot is not because of the cloud or how many people reposted it. It's because of how many messages and how many people I've reached by, being vulnerable. And it's something I didn't think about when I was sharing my story. I was healing myself because there's a lot of things. People don't know me. People only see what they see on the camera. And that's for a lot of people. They only see, what you post. That people don't know me. They just see me as the most charismatic man in entertainment, rightfully so. But a lot of people don't know my backstory. They don't know a lot of things I went through. And so, to this day, I still get a lot of people hit me up like, man, I appreciate what you said because that was something I always struggled with. And that was the hole in their bucket. It's like you use people to fulfill certain things, but you're never really fully healing until you solve that issue. And for a lot of people, the reason why that video was so powerful for them was because they finally found that missing piece. They was able to find that thing that kept a wall, on them that they couldn't escape. And I think a lot of people go through a phase where they don't know who they are. There's a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s still trying to figure out who they are as a person.
Out. Yep.
And right. And we're a bunch of 20-year-olds still trying to figure out life out. So I think it's important when we talk about mental health and therapy, it's not about the cheeseburgers you eat or how many friends you got or how many followers you have. It's about finding who you are as a person. And until you find who you are as a person, it's always going to be hard to fulfill, your purpose or really have a strong mental game because you're never going to know who you are, what you need in life, what you're seeking in life. If all you're doing is just, leashing on to different people and then you realize when the time runs out, there's nothing to show for it and you still back to square one. That's so I think what I said was definitely important.
Nah, that's a fact. I was gonna just to kind of wrap up on that. It's just I just had no choice but to like deal with shit myself. You know what I'm saying? Because and the thing was I had resentments, so it's like I didn't want to pick up the phone anymore. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, yo, all right, if this is a solitude that I got to deal with, then I'm just gonna deal with it. The only person that really knew what I was going through was Percy, and he lives in LA. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I could just pull up to his house. Like I would talk to him, but we're not on the phone 24/7. We would just be on the phone for the amount of time that we were on the phone for. But then I would just be by myself all the time.
A lot of times, we spent like mad time like laughing with each other, having good time, stuff like that. But there was also moments where it's like, we be talking about the same things, and I'd be sitting there, I'd be like, damn, he just not like, it's not too like young, resonated. To decipher. Yeah. So it's just like, but I knew like for me, yeah, like, well, like, is it traits of like toxicity? Yeah, we all have our traits of toxicity. Like, some of the stories that I've told you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm not Mr. Clean. You know what I mean?
You James Harden, that's why.
Well, yeah. Now, if you grow out the beard, Percy, I'm telling you, James Harden, like, spot on, bro. Grow it out, I'm telling you.
I get a little yachty. I don't know about James Harden.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, Lil Yachty, Eddie Murphy. Got it. I think even for me, it's a sort of therapy because you're getting to voice your opinion. Nobody's judging you. And I think that's very important. And I know we was having a little laugh when OC was talking about, maybe taking a dive off, the road. But I think it's important for people to realize that sometimes you need your friends to, hear you out. Maybe not always voice their opinion, but sometimes you need that person to voice your opinion to or express what you're going through. Because I talk to so many people, doing my podcast. I talk to many people who go through these, trials and tribulations, their mental health game off the wall, they got nobody to talk to and they contemplating suicide. And I think that's very important. Like sometimes you have to at least just be open and have your ears open for someone in need. And even for me, this conversation has been good because we're laughing and joking, but at the same time, we're expressing the things that we've been through. We're expressing our pain. We're open to being vulnerable and we're enjoying that. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing is friends or people in their circle who can give them that kind of that love and support. You know what I'm saying?
For sure,
You know,
100%.
there's-
It was crazy because like
You're welcome.
Oh my bad.
Mhm.
Wait, what? Oh my bad. All right.
Go ahead,
But yeah,
Osi.
it's crazy because like I was that guy for DJ. You know what I'm saying? But like
For a
anytime-
very long time. For a
for
very
a very long
long
time. Know what I mean? And but he couldn't be that guy for me. Now he could be that guy for me. You know what I'm saying? But in the times where like I was stressing, like there was dark times where like, I would probably like convey it to him. It just wouldn't stick, you know what I mean? So he couldn't be that guy for me. But now he could be that guy, you know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing.
The Nets need you, James Harden. I don't blame you.
I mean, KD can't do it all by himself, you know what
Exactly,
I'm saying?
you know what I'm saying?
Well, nah, but yeah, nah.
Let me,
when y'all was talking,
Yeah, I think Kirby.
Yeah. I was gonna ask a question that was based off of what you had said, Percy, when you were talking about vulnerability. And that's something that I feel like is it's a sensible topic, but at the same time it's a much needed conversation where as a man, what do you guys think? What are your views on vulnerability? Like, how do you think society views vulnerability? How do you view vulnerability? And what's your level of comfort, or how do you like to project that?
okay, I'm gonna go first because I'm probably the most vulnerable one in here. Because even on my YouTube channel, I use it as a way to be vulnerable. Like, what I'm saying? You help me with my poetry videos, you know what I'm saying? And my poetry is very personal, you know what I'm saying? And it's very vulnerable. It's a form of expression. I'm the type of guy, like, if I gotta cry, I'm gonna cry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a father that was like, oh, you shouldn't be fucking crying, da-da-da. I don't care. Like, nah, I gotta cry, I'm gonna cry. Like, it's just what it is. If I have something to say, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to say it. I feel like society acts like it wants people to be vulnerable. I mean, it acts like people wants to be vulnerable, but they don't really encourage it. You know what I'm saying? Like especially like black men, like
Unless you're a woman, but
yeah, like you're not like even with women, like women say like, oh, they want like niggas to like talk to them about certain shit, but they don't really want. I mean, there's some women out there that just can't really receive like your innermost emotions and really, make you not feel judged because, as vulnerable as I am, like I know there's a time for me to be vulnerable and there's a time not to, you know what I'm saying? And it tends to come out like, because I think you asked, how do I project it, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, really just the way that I communicate with people, I write, I make videos, and then there's always a piece of me in each of my videos, you know what I'm saying? Or like Osi, like I literally gave Osi the whole spiel in the backstory to like one of my dance videos, like, and what it was like really about and how I was channeling that energy. And even at the end of the video, like, it had a vulnerable piece of myself in there that I just put out, you know what I'm saying? Because, for me personally, I consider it like letting the air out of the balloon because I don't want it to pop. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously when a balloon pops, it's violent, it's loud, it's never a good situation. Like I was that person, I don't like when people pop balloons. Like I never liked this. So needless to say about like how I feel on the inside, I always gotta try to like let it out, in like a smooth way, like the smoothest way possible. So I hope that answers your question. I hope it did.
For me, and it's funny because this girl I'm talking to, she was asking me the same question the other day. For me, growing up, I grew up in a single home. My mom did a great job with me, but I was always told to hold my emotions in, be a man. And so for me, I've never been an emotional type of person. It's going so far that I will never take a role that requires crying because that's just not me. I always have my guard up. I always have my emotions hot in check. you'll never see me sobbing, crying, or anything. I will do that in the shower before anybody ever sees a teardrop in my eye. But I think too, and I think it goes back to one of the things I was mentioning, is I think as Black men, we're just told to don't let nobody see your emotion. That's weak. You're weak if you show people your emotion. And a lot of people take advantage of that, which is another reason why I don't show
That's true.
my weakness, because a lot of people see that, and I could walk over to this guy, you know what I'm saying? He got no balls. Or a lot of women too. I've experienced this, especially when I was younger and I was a little more open. You know, they look down and it's like, come on, bro, you mad soft, man. You know, get a little tougher, you know what I'm saying? So I think for me, it's always been, you know, nobody's ever going to see my emotion. But now I'm at a point now where, you know, when I'm talking to a lot of people, a lot of, you know, I'm able to reach more people. I don't mind having that weak moment to help somebody else, because at the end of the day, even if I don't need it, somebody else might need it. But I think this, especially in the Black community, there's a thing where emotion, nah. And I grew up in the hood too. So in the hood, you show emotion, you know, people, you know, taking advantage of you easy. So I think for me, that's still a part of my life, even though I wasn't really, you know, gangbanging anything. That's just how I live life. And I think a lot of Black people grow up with that mentality and up until they die, you know, and you just become, you know, you see invulnerability as weakness. And a lot of people don't want to show weakness because there's always going to be that one person that takes advantage of that. And, you know, a lot of people don't want to cross that bridge. So.
Well, I'm gonna just say this, and then I'll let, you know, OC go. Those people that will like take advantage, like you said, of, you know, your vulnerability, of you showing a side of you, because it's not like, you know, if you're expressing emotions or if you got to shed a tear or two, it ain't like that's not you. Like, that's just who you are. Like, that's just part of being human. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when you repress that, that's when like other shit starts to manifest. But you can't be around those people, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
Anybody that like trying to make me feel bad about like me being vulnerable or some shit, I can't be around those people. And then 9 times out of 10, when you get rid of those sorts of people, everything will just literally come into place. But you have to, like, certain people can't be around those people, man. Like, for real.
I mean, and I'm gonna let them go. I don't want to take too much time, but I think, especially like when we was talking about celebrities earlier, you see it all the time. I remember a couple of years ago when I was in, I think, freshman year of college, there was like a whole thing with Tyrese doing a rant thing, and he started crying, and people took everything that he said, you know, disregarded and just made memes out of him. And it was funny. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still laugh at him. You know, I ain't gonna lie. He was looking type ugly, but but I mean, it goes back to the point, like, especially as Black men, you don't see a lot of people making memes of white guys crying. It's usually Black men.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. Facts. Anytime you see a Black man crying, it's Michael Jordan, Tyrese,
Will Smith.
They really be going through it, y'all. Really be going through it.
Yeah, like, especially when you look at what they're crying about. Like, let's say Tyrese. Like, initially, like I said earlier, that I used to listen to a lot of Tyrese videos. Like, I even made a CD of like all his videos, and I used to just drive to work, listen to it. I didn't like the fact, like, I didn't find it funny for a long time. It wasn't until like years down the line that I saw that he laughed at it, that I was like, okay, I'll laugh at it too. But I was like, he was literally laughing because his daughter was being taken away from him. And then he was being like sued on top of that for like $13K, you know, saying child support a month. And I'm like, anybody else, if that was a regular person, nobody would think it's funny. But because it's Tyrese, and then he said it, like, because he just put himself out there, and then people laughed immediately. Like I said, I laughed years later. I'm saying, but everybody was laughing at this man. And I'm like, yo, yeah, like, when you're Black, you don't get a pass. But then when you're white or anybody else, you're brave, you this, you that. But it's like with us, we can't like really be out there with like the pain that we're experiencing, you know what I'm saying? Because people just be like, oh yeah, suck it up, you a man. Like, I literally had my father telling me like, yeah, like, stop crying, like literally, you know what I'm saying? And then I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jason Wilson. He's that guy, he's that martial artist, motivational guy that has a martial arts academy in Detroit. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him.
I've heard of him.
Huh?
The dude with the guns that be telling you he's like a cop.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
that dude
Jason,
be wild. He'd be like trying to tell you how to disarm people, son.
Nah.
You're not doing that in the middle of the street, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
But basically, and it's like, in 2016, so it was funny. Like while I was kind of like going through what I was going through, I remember I would just watch his videos and cry, bro, like that ass, because he's the videos you guys might have seen with like the little kids, and then like they would have to like break the board, but they couldn't, and then they would start crying, and then he would kind of like, you know, talk to them, and then mind you, they would just punch it like it was nothing. And I was like, man, like I wish I had somebody that was like that would just like build me up instead of like trying to like tear me down type shit. And he has a book called damn, I have it too. But basically, he's just the kind of guy that embraces that side of masculinity, that embraces that side of being a man, because you're not a man by community. That's what some shit that DL Hughley says. Like, you're not a man by community. Being a man is an isolated activity. I can't tell you, you know what I'm saying, to be a man like me, because you're not me. You can only be the man that you want to be. You see what I'm saying? So if part of that means you gotta cry, then nigga, cry. You're not like who made up that rule that you're less of a man for crying? Like what? Like, I bet you that shit probably came from slave times. Probably. When they were putting black people, I bet you.
I guarantee
that's the origin of where that shit came from.
Yep.
Because when they were probably like physically, mentally, emotionally, you know, killing black people and doing a whole bunch of shit, these people were probably telling them, you can't cry. Like, I bet you when they were like giving them lashes and shit, I bet you they were telling them, you can't cry or you're going to get somewhere. I bet you. And then our ancestors that went through that, took that, and then that's just been carried throughout society. And that's just one of those things that black people do to each other. We don't accept, you know, each other's emotions. Like I said, like me and OC are friends, me and Percy are friends, you know what I'm saying? Like we talk, me and Kirby are friends, we talk, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's not like that everywhere. That's why I said earlier that I know that there's a time and place for me to be vulnerable. Like I you know what I'm saying? Like I know that like I'm constantly in like enemy territory because I don't know people, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I don't have a lot of friends right now because you know what I'm saying? Like I just know, kind of like Percy said, that, I mean, like, yeah, if I have to, I will, but like, I'd rather kind of do it when I'm like in a controlled environment and it's safe for me to kind of do those things. I don't do that shit in enemy territory. Nah.
Nah, I definitely get that, yo. Like, you know, kind of adding on to that point, sometimes you gotta pick and choose when to have that vulnerability. You know what I mean? You know, as much as healthy as it is to be vulnerable, and as much as it would be a great thing to do that with everybody and anywhere, you know, we just can't do that.
Can't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
And you know, it's not healthy when you're like super guarded and you're always on edge and like can't feel like you can't talk to people or can't be yourself, you know what I'm saying, or can't be open. Like that's not good. But sometimes, yeah, we gotta pick and choose our battles, B. You know what I mean?
Like, the book is called Cry Like a Man. Cry Like a Man.
Cry Like a Man. All right, bet. Cry Like a Man, yo. Everybody check that out.
You know you're not gonna check it out.
Yeah, they're definitely not checking
I know I'm not.
But yeah, yo, like I was just that kid, you know what I mean? And you know, me and my father, we used to go at it, you know, because like a lot of my emotions wouldn't necessarily always come out in tears. They would like come out like in anger, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I had to deal with that, you know, I had to learn to deal with that. And me and my father was very much alike. And he peeped, like, you know, like I was born in the Bronx, yo, grew up in the Bronx for a little bit.
Shout out to the Bronx.
Shout out to the Bronx, know what I mean? Eastside Tremont, yo, we in there. As I got older, dealing with certain friends that I had, they would pick on your insecurities, pick on your, you know, they would see like, sometimes they'll see that you have some type of light, you know what I mean? There's like a light shining around you, you know, you have some type of glow. And sometimes they try to bring you down or like whatever that you got going on that makes you stand out, makes you different. They'll belittle it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they belittle it. You know what I mean? Just make you feel smaller, yo, because they don't understand what you got going on, and they don't even understand themselves. They just want to crack on you. You know
that's why, exactly. That's why. Yeah, no, you're right. No, it's a fact.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's like, you know, if you're not, I don't want to say like mentally strong. If you're just not in a position where it's like you really know yourself, you know what I mean, or you're able to combat some of those things or whatever, because it's not about being strong mentally, yo. It's just sometimes you just need to know who you are. Yo, a lot of that stuff will throw you off. You know what I'm saying? So that will keep you from being vulnerable going on. Especially then on top of that, yo, like you get into fights with people checking you for different things, yo, because of different insecurities they have on their parts or different things that got them upset or whatever. You know what I mean? So now you, another layer of that, yo, you just hiding all that vulnerability, yo. You just being this rock, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And And it's funny, like, and then on top of that, as men, yo, we got to dealing with women, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about that, you know, if
I
we
mean,
can.
so,
But
I'm gonna touch on it just a little tiny bit, but you know, like dealing with all of that. But you know, just like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna pause on that. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like all of that stuff can just really keep you from being open. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I know for myself, I had to literally just like become comfortable with myself, yo. Despite what everybody else was saying, yo, like despite what everybody else was saying, despite what everybody was doing, I'm just like, yo, you know what? This is me. I'm gonna do me. If it's weird, yo, like, yo, just run with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just run with that. If I'm feeling away, yo, if I'm sad, if I'm upset, let that join out. Talk about it. Talk to people that actually are willing to receive it. You know what I'm saying? And people that rock with that receive it, yo, that are able to give it back to you, yo, stick with those people. The people that are not on that type of time, yo, just stay away from them. You know what I'm saying?
But I will just want to touch on that because I made a video about confidence on my channel. Like I was just talking about how like, so basically there's somebody that supports my channel, and then he was just like, yo, like, how do you be confident? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you find your confidence? And it's literally when I stopped giving a fuck about what other people thought. And once I got to know myself, like, I remember that whole time period where I really I felt like I got an idea of who I was and who I wanted to be. Once I knew like the path that I was on character-wise, I stopped giving a fuck about what other people thought, and I accepted myself. So, you know, I wanted to piggyback off of that.
Yeah, so, you know, I was gonna say when it comes to vulnerability, that's something that throughout my life I've thought about. I've thought about the way it was taught to me, the way that other people express it or their views on it, and also the way it relates to me, you know, individually. And I think on one hand, I feel like, especially I'm going to speak from the position of a man. Like, I feel like, you know, on one hand, we're taught that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. Sometimes when you're too vulnerable and you allow your emotion to flow from you, especially without really going through a filter, it's like it's weak for showing that side. On the other hand, I feel like men are taught to so on one hand you're taught to suppress it. On the other hand, you know, I feel like there's also the side where we're taught to just allow it to flow. If you feel this way, allow it to flow. And so currently where I stand on this, the whole vulnerability thing, is that I think that vulnerability is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I feel like it could be unhealthy if it's not checked, if it's not filtered properly. So, and when I say that, what I mean is that if, for example, if you know, I feel like I look at it as the same concept as going to the gym. Or it's the same concept of discipline. I feel like, you know, everything has to do with this, in a sense, everything has to do with being able, in discipline, I look at it as your ability to control yourself. So I feel like when we allow our emotions to control us, then the emotion is unchecked. Then it, just like how I think OC had said it, or I think Dimitri, you said it too, where there's times you can be vulnerable and there's times you're not vulnerable. There's times you allow your vulnerability to really show, and there's times you tone it down a little bit, right? So there's a balance. But, you know, the important part, healthy vulnerability has to do with control, with self-control. How much of it are you allowing, etc. But I also think it's dangerous to not be vulnerable, to not express emotions,
Because it'll pop, like I said, like a balloon. Like, it's just gonna.
Right. And it's the same way if, for example, if you put your hands on a stove and you're like, well, I don't care what happens. I don't care, it's burning me. I'm not going to show that it hurts. What's going to happen? You're going to hurt yourself.
That damn hand.
You're not hurting anybody else. By holding on to, if you're feeling pain and you continuously hold on to it and you're not going to show it, you're not hurting anybody else but yourself. So no matter what it is that you're feeling, right, sometimes holding on to it is not going to hurt anybody but yourself.
That's a fact.
But, you know, sometimes if like, you know, sometimes we might just allow our emotions to just flow from us too quickly. What that can do, right? One effect that they can have is you can get in a habit of every time you feel something, you just let it out. And that can train you to be not disciplined when it comes to your emotion. You could be disciplined going to the gym, right? Physically, you could be disciplined with your mental, but then you could also not be disciplined when it comes to emotion. So any kind of thing that could happen, it could cause you to quickly let it out. And I see you want to ask some real quick before you do that, before I lose a thought. I also want to say that I feel like it's important too for us, especially as men, for men to understand when it comes to vulnerability. Like I said, I think vulnerability is healthy. It's a beautiful thing. The important thing is what you do with that. I think it's important. I think it's not only okay, it is healthy to show emotions. But what I think is not healthy as men to do is to act solely off of emotions. It's like if you feel this way and then you just quickly out of emotion, you go and act, you don't have your emotion in check. And to be honest with you, that is the way of the feminine. That's how women are. Women are emotionally driven. When they feel a certain way, they act on the emotion. As men, I feel like some men are not even taught. This is what I'm saying. And personally, I think I would love to have a whole talk about the effects of not having fathers or substantial father figures, because I really feel like it stems from that. And when we have a society where, especially as Black people, we have societies where, some of us might not have a prominent father figure, because the father is the man who teaches you how to be a man. If you don't have that in your life, how are you going to know? You're going to learn it from someone else. You're going to learn it from somewhere else, right? And one of the things that's important, like I said, I think it's important, is that some of us weren't taught that when I had a talk with my younger brother the other day, and I had to tell him, listen, you can't just act out of emotion. Every time something happens, you just act out of emotion. As men, especially if you're going to be in a position of leadership or a position of authority, you have to learn to control your emotions. And I'll give you a perfect example. If you discipline yourself, or you train yourself to just quickly act out of emotion, you might be in a workplace and something happens. Let's say you're dealing with a customer and you're angry, get on my face. Now, you just ruined business because you just acted out of emotion. You couldn't.
I do that, so
that happens to us. But
it happens, dude.
But ideally, not even ideally, ultimately, what you want of yourself is that when there are things that happen, and we talked about women, right? Especially when it comes to your woman, you really want your woman to feel secure. When she is going crazy and chaotic, you stand in her face and you show her you can control yourself. She will see you completely different. And I feel like that's a masculine trait. And I'll be honest, it's a feminine trait to just quickly act out of emotion. And that's why I feel like when it comes to vulnerability, it's a healthy thing when you control it, when you keep it in check. It's important to show your emotions, but it's also important to control your emotion and not just solely act out of emotion.
So what I was gonna say is that that was something that I used to struggle with. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to struggle with emotional self-control in the way that I react to things. And I didn't really know that, or that didn't really come out until I had a long-term relationship with a woman. And then, certain things she did that I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? Or she didn't do something, I would always react, you know what I'm saying? Whether it was with my words or, you know what I'm saying, acting out and, just doing a whole bunch of stupid shit that I shouldn't have done, you know what I'm saying? I will say that, us as men or human beings anyway, there is a masculine and there is a feminine side to everybody. There are women who have masculine energy. There's men who have feminine energy. It's both. You just have to have balance. I wear a yin yang because there's yin and yang. You know what I'm saying? There's two sides to everybody. But I wanna ask y'all a little bit, if at all. So kind of like how I said that, some of my weaknesses or deficiencies or lack of discipline kind of showed up in my last relationship. During your relationships with women, what are some things or deficiencies that you've had, like emotionally or mentally, that kind of manifested themselves in your relationships with women?
So my answer is going to piggyback also off of what Kirby said. And it's about, he was talking about parents and, not having a dad, right? I grew up like I said, I grew up single mom. So a lot of things I've attained this from her. So my demeanor, my lack of emotion comes from her, because that's how she was raised and that's how she dealt with it. Now, for me, I always tell people I'm from New York because I want them to understand the way how I act is because I am a product of my environment. Now, I think a lot of people forget that, girls out in LA, because that's where I live now, are not the same as girls from New York, whereas like LA people are more emotional, and stuff like that. You go to New York, a lot of women in New York don't want that. They want that tough guy. You know what I'm saying? You know, that ass, like they don't want that. They don't want that dude who's gonna be crying when she leave or begging her to stay. She want that dude that will punch her upside the head. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that, you know. But
no, it's wild, yo. It's really
yeah,
wild.
most definitely. And like I'll be honest, I've dated a lot of women, and especially when I was younger.
Why he
I did. Hey man, I was a player in high school.
Yeah,
But
y'all might have to spar sometime soon. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't hurt James Harden. No, he's my favorite player.
I mean, I'm shifty like James too. Know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? I want to commit a foul on him. You know what I'm saying? Going through the free throw. No, you stop. But you know, my early times dating women, I was a little more emotional, and this is why I act the way I do towards women now. When I was emotional at one point, it wasn't well received. It was like, yo, you mad soft, or they wouldn't even say nothing. They just stopped talking to me. You know what I'm saying? So the relationship would just ended. I got, you know, I got blocked before it became a thing to be blocked. And then as I started dating more women, I started going back to what I know, which is withholding my emotion. And that's become a big downfall too in a lot of my relationships, is not being emotional, not being vulnerable, not being open. And it's something I'm still working on. Like I said, the girl I'm talking to now, like she always asks me, like, can you be more open? Why you not like this? Why you? And it's like, because so far what's worked for me is the dudes that act like they don't give a crap, they don't show emotion, you know, they that tough guy, you know, that gangbanger, that drug dealer. That's the type of man that a lot of women want. And it's still taking me a long time to really realize that being a little more open, being a little more vulnerable, especially with the woman or the girl that you're with or you're in love with, is really healthy. And it's still something I'm still struggling with, because so far that hasn't worked, and it's always been pushed back. So but also get it from my mom too, who, you know, some women are just raised like that. They're not emotional like others. They're very tough. And that's another thing with Black women, is you'll hear this all the time. Like a lot of them, you know, hard asses, you know, they're bitches and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, you are a product of your environment, no matter how good your parents are. So for me, it's still a struggle, still about a battle. But like Kirby said, you have to have a balance, and I'm still working on that. So
yeah, no, I mean, having that balance is always tough, man. It's always tough, yo. Yeah, especially in relationships, yo. Sometimes you learn more about yourself in relationships. Just like kind of like, I don't want to compare it to like people having kids, yo, but it's like once you have a kid, you realize how selfish you are,
yeah,
or not selfish you are. You know what I'm saying? Like how much you're able to give to somebody else. You know what I mean? And it's crazy, yo, because I remember, you know, being who I was in terms of just emotion or whatever. In relationships, like, yo, I had no problem like being vulnerable or open to women. I don't know what it was. It was just like, you know, and that was kind of my superpower. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, yo, just like, cause I always had like a knack for like connecting with people and just like hearing people out and stuff like that. And like people just want to talk to me, even though like, I mean, I could be somewhat like, you know, introverted where I just don't want to be around people. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
connect with people, you know, and like, but you know, when it comes to women, like I would, you know, we would just be able to connect on certain things. And just me being like myself or open, you know, it would just work out. And that also does go with like going for the right women. Just like certain women you can do that with, and there's certain women you can't do that with. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
fact.
Now, I do feel like as men, we make mistakes of like going after certain women where it's just like,
For looks.
yeah, like, yo, like, oh, she's valid, da da da, like, oh, she, you know, X, Y, Z. But it's like, yo, she might not, you know, be feeling what you're giving because
It's not right for you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
it's not the right
like that.
situation, it's not the right, you know, circumstance. And it doesn't have to just be like of like if you're trying to bag shorty or be in a relationship. Literally just like maybe it's like you meet her for the first night and it's like, you know, hit it on the first night type joint, you never talk to her again. But because you linked up with the right one, or you went for the right vibe, that first initial instance, it worked out for you. You know what I mean? And you were able to be yourself and it flowed and it was smooth instead of like forcing certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, but what I did notice that with different women, there were certain women like, yeah, I could be open with, but like when it comes to certain topics or certain things, I couldn't dive into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Certain stuff going on with me, I couldn't fully dive in. And because of that, I kind of took that into other relationships where it's like, oh, she might not understand. Oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to stick. You know what I mean? And then I'm harboring that. Mind you, this is the person that, you know, if you're in a relationship, that's the person that you talk to on the regular, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're not able to talk to this person about X, Y, and Z, whatever, it's like,
what can you talk to him about?
You know, yeah. So you might just be like holding that in, you know what I mean? Then that comes out in other ways and stuff like that. What I did notice, you know, being from like a 2-parent household, being from an African household, like, you know, my dad, he pretty much like did everything, you know what I'm saying? He did a lot. And you know, my mom like made good money too. Like even like at one point, like later on in the marriage, like she started making more bread than my dad. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But my dad, he was just on it with everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even in his family, being the oldest boy and stuff like that, like he was that guy. You know, so I'll look at that. I'm like, I have to be like that in my relationships. But it's like, you know, what they don't always show or don't always tell you. And my dad mentioned it one time, but I didn't understand what he was saying. My pops was like, like meeting your mother was the best thing that ever happened to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy about it? Like I didn't take it in all the way, but in that moment, he's like literally saying like, I picked the right woman that was able to hold me down. Whatever I gave her, she gave it back to me. You know what I'm saying? In those times, I was thinking that like, like I have to get a woman, I have to take care of her, I gotta do this, I gotta make sure I'm straight, and like, you gotta make sure you're good. You gotta be able to take care of her, provide. But it's nice to have somebody that can like be like, hey, like, babe, you good?
Reciprocate.
Like, reciprocate that, like, like you need some help, like, I got you, like you want to talk about things, like understand, connect, just have a deeper conversation, like, you know, you need that, but at the same time, you gotta be open to it. And I wasn't necessarily always open to it, and it used to like backfire and blow up in my face. And sometimes I'll harbor it, and it will come out like in other ways where it's just like, you know, I'm just like, damn, I'm not feeling this space. Like the space is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. And then it's like, you're not really happy, but you kind of just faking the funk. And you can only do that for so long, you know what I'm saying? And then, because like after a moment, it's like the fun that you were supposed to be having in your relationship, you like, you know, I'm about to go hang out with my boys. I'm about to go do that, like do X, Y, and Z, whatever, like with my guys, you know what I'm saying? And then that can lead to other stuff, where it's like, other women come in the picture, and then you just like, I mean?
Downward spiral.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, stuff like that, man. And that also goes back to what Kirby was saying about, you know, looking for like solutions and other things that, you know, could be like super toxic or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Looking to fill that bucket, but you have holes in it, you know? But that's something that I definitely noticed, when it comes to relationships. And that's something that, you know, I'm working on now. Like, there was a conversation I think me and my shorty were having one time where like, I was just like open with just like something that I was afraid to be open with her about. I mean, I didn't know how it was going to go. And like it was very rocky in the end. I mean, I know as guys, we don't want to deal with women's feelings and crying. Like they always like, oh, we want to know the truth. The next, you know, they'd be crying crazy.
Time to go.
No, I mean, it's time to dip, But it's like, you know, if you bypass all that emotional stuff, all the anger, all the tears, they'll respect you for keeping it 100. Because at the end of the day, like they just want that understanding, and they just want that chance to be like, you know what, like let me at least like be in control of like what I want to do and stuff like that. Give me that choice, give me that option. Like don't take that away from me.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying to you before when we had that talk. I was like, like, you know, she'll do nothing but like respect you or like love you more for being open about certain things. I was like, because she's learning more about you, you know what I'm saying? Like something that you know, she didn't know, and you're giving her an opportunity to at least respond, because a lot of times when you don't even give someone the chance to even talk about some shit, they're gonna be like, dang, well, like, you know, you didn't even come to me, you didn't give me a chance, you know what I'm saying?
No, literally.
And I'm like that now, where it's like, I sat there and I was probably as vulnerable could be in a relationship for it to like not work out. So it's like now I don't I don't show that side of myself no more. Like I'm
Yeah,
literally
you'd be afraid to get that to somebody else.
yeah,
Like,
yo, I'm
like,
mad. I'm mad black and white with it, yo.
and that'd be like so many black men, yo. Like just men, period. We all like, yo, we get crushed at like 15, yo. And then we're just like, yo, you don't never again, yo. Like,
85.
Because for me,
yo, I remember, yo, I was like 15, 16, yo. And this was like, yo, wasn't my first girlfriend, yo, but I think just like the first girl I ever told that I love or whatever. Something is funny, yo, and like, yo, shorty was just cheating on me, yo, playing me, yo. I'm like a 15.
I know who you're talking
kid.
about.
Yeah,
I know
you know
exactly
the story, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, you know, and like, yo, like, I wish her the best. Like, we still cool, you know what I mean? Like, we chopped it up or linked up like later on, like in our adult years, you know what I'm saying? But in that time, like it threw me off, but at the same time, just like it's like, yo, I know myself, I know my body, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yo, I just gotta keep moving, keep pushing. Yo, a lot of other dudes, yo, they would have easily been like, nah, son, like, yo, bun all these shorties, da da da. Like, yo, I'm not trying to curse crazy, you know what I mean? But you know, like, yo, like, bun all that. Nah, I'm cool. You know, I don't curse crazy like that, anyways. But yeah, yo, just like, yo, bun all of that, yo, like, I'm off this, da da da. Know what I mean? Yo, she not the one. Like, yo, you gotta treat all these girls like trees, like, you know what I mean? Like, really go crazy. But it's just like, yo, fam, like, yo, that's just one experience, yo. That's one thing that just happened. There's mad girls out there. There's gonna be other girls that are gonna appreciate what you bring to the table.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying, and gonna allow you to be you and be yourself, and not, you know, not.
I ain't never seen it. No. I'm not.
Unless you're 45 years old.
You don't be going outside, so that's what.
I don't care. Even if I was, I find it just that, you know, and I'm just being real. Like, it's just some shit that, like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like Percy, like, I talked to y'all about like this, you know, one particular scenario where it's just like, yeah, maybe, but there's no guarantee that, like, it's gonna work. So I'm just not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, just keep it superficial, and I find it fine. You know what I'm saying? So in the event that you do go your separate ways, well, it's not like, oh, I put all this effort in to get like nothing back or to have nothing to show for it, because that probably has to be like one of the, like, the worst feelings is like you put a lot into somebody or something for you to not get, like, I don't want to say a return on that investment, but it's just like, what's the point in doing it again? Or at least if I do, it's not going to be as, like, you know, floodgates are open of emotion and my thoughts and everything like that, because it's like you let somebody see that side of yourself and then, like, you know, y'all still go your separate ways. So it's like, well, so why did I do that in the first place? Nah, I'll just do it just enough. Like, my emotions and my vulnerabilities will be on a very need to know basis. I'm just gonna be real with it.
What I'll say to that, yo, my bad, Kirby. I just gotta say this real quick.
Oh, nah, Kirby, what'd you say?
Nah, go ahead, Lucy. I'll say that.
I was just gonna say, yo, what I was gonna say to that, yo, like, yo, it's always gonna be whatever you put into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, like, you know, yeah, there's certain steps. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to meet a girl and then be like, all right, yo, so when I'm meeting your fam, like, yo, you guys just was on your second date. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, bro,
like,
yeah, like, chill.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't want to go crazy. You know what I mean? But like, yo, it's always gonna be whatever you put into it. You know what I'm saying? So like, the way I look at it is like, yo, at least I was me. At least I kept it a bug. At least I tried. You know what I'm saying? I did what I had to do. If it didn't work out, it is what it is. Like, because the fact that I put in whatever I need to put in terms of, like, for myself on my end, you know, I can, like, go to sleep at night knowing that, like, yo, she wasn't feeling me. She was looking for somebody else. Like, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me go back to the drawing board, work on me. Whatever the next situation I stumble into.
Well, that's what I told you over the phone the other day. I was like, you know, in the end, it's all about, like, you, really. You know what I'm saying? And then if things don't work out, at least you were a better version. You know that you gave your best, and you was. That's pretty much what I said over the phone.
Like, based on what you said, DJ, let me ask you this: like, if you put in, let's say you put in 75% of work or effort, you can't expect 100% back from them. And I understand the mindset that you coming from with that, because, you know, like, especially when it comes to women, I used to think about that. It's like, because I've had the experience of I was putting in work, and and it's like after that ends, where it's like, wow, I feel like I wasted my time and energy and effort. But as I grow older and I start to reflect more and I start to mature, think about it like this. You said this at the beginning of this, where what you do with one thing is what you do with all things. So for me, it's kind of like, if I'm the type of person who I put my effort into everything I do, that's going to have to, even if it comes to a relationship, because here's the thing, right? My thing is, and this is why I believe, and it's strengthening my faith is, I believe that, there's certain things work off of faith, right? And so, for example, if you get in a relationship and you want something, you want this relationship to last long term, maybe you want to get married, whatever it is. If you want it to work, you can't say, well, I want this, but not show the faith in it. The way you show your faith is based off of what you do. So it's kind of like, if you're like, you want to be, you chose to be in a relationship, you want to be in a relationship with somebody, and you say, okay, well, I want to be with them and I want this to be long term, this and that. But you're like, you know what? I mean, I can't put everything in right now, because what if it doesn't work out? By you saying that, it's like you're already expecting it's not going to work out. So the way I see it as I got older is kind of like, I see it as like, well, okay, if I think like that, then I might as well just not do it. I might as well just not waste.
Right. And mind you, there is an element to that, because I'm just in a stage now where I'm very jaded. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think we talked about that in the car, like when we came back from that spot. It's just like, when you do that for so long, I'm just in a different space now where I can't, like I told OC, I'm not in a space now, and I guess that's just why I'm like articulating my thoughts and my feelings the way that I am, because I'm just not 100%. So I can't give someone else 100% when I don't even have that, like, to give to myself. Right now.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't, because
fine.
that's why what you're hearing is like me at 45%, 50%. You know what I'm saying? And so if I am around, what'd you say?
I'll add on to that too, real quick.
If you say you was gonna ask me a question.
Well, not a question, but I'll just add to that.
Oh, you were just going. Okay.
And I'm going to challenge that a little bit, right? If you have 45%, you say, you can't give somebody 100 if you don't have 100. If you have 45% right now, if you give somebody 45%, you just gave them 100% of what you got. Essentially,
girls don't look at it like that. I'm tell you straight up, girls don't look at it like that. Girls don't look at it. No. Girls don't look at it like, because I'll tell you, like, there were a lot of, like, all right, so I'll use my last relationship for.
Then that's the wrong girl. I'll just say that.
well, I'm gonna use this as an example. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, I'm just using other girls that I've met, but I've only really been with her seriously. Right. The right girl will look at it like, if that's all you have to give, then that's 100% for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, most girls, the right girl that's really for you will think like that. You know what I'm saying? But the one I was with, whatever, like, I was not my best self, obviously, but whatever it is that I felt like I brought to the table, whatever it is that I felt like I had to offer, I gave that abundantly. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that wasn't appreciated. So what I thought was 100% was probably like 15%, you know what I'm saying, to her. And I felt like it meant a lot to me to give those things. And all you got to do is look at social media now, and you see the general consensus as far as the mindset of a lot of different girls. OC is right. I don't go outside. You know what I'm saying? Because there ain't shit out there for me. And then even right now, I'm in a space where I think I'm going to, instead of trying to give my 45% to her, how about I give that 45% to myself? How about I give that 45% to my goals and different things like that? If I meet somebody else, then like great in the future. But right now, it's just like I can't do it. And it's hard. I'm not even going to lie. Because like, you do come across like, girls that, or women that will appreciate you. But sometimes like when you get hurt, or it's like some shit just don't work out, and then it kind of, makes your views jaded, and, like it fractures your perception of love and relationships and intimacy and all that stuff. It's hard to get into it. Like, again, like, even if you do meet some girl that's like, I'll take your 25%, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, relationships, I feel like, are not as cut and dry, or like, at least the way that I feel, to me, is not like that easy. Like, I wish it was, you know what I'm saying? Because I probably would be in a relationship right now, but it's not.
That's like, some people are not even comfortable with, where I feel like some people, especially women nowadays, I feel like most people nowadays feel like they have to be in a relationship. Like, they have to just be in but there's I look at it like there are seasons in life, right? There's a season where there's a season you have nothing. Where there's a season you give, there's a season you receive. There's a season you could be with someone, but there's a season you're with yourself. And like, people are not comfortable with that. And you have to know, well, right now, if I need to give what I have to myself, then that's the season that I'm in. But there's gonna come a season where you're in a season where you're giving someone else. You're building you're building someone else. You're giving into them. And when you do it with that mentality, if it's the right person, you should never be worried about if I'm giving them too much or if I'm ever gonna get that back. Because when you give, when you give from that stance or perspective where it's like I'm giving that person what I have, and it's not like I'm giving so I could receive. When you truly give like that, you're naturally going to receive, because that person, it's kind of like the idea with the bucket, if the bucket is patched, right? When you pour the water into it, they're going to start to have an overflow of water. Now they're going to say, I have an overflow of water. Let me give to you. And that reciprocation, if anything, I feel like when it comes to true marriage, that's what a true marriage is. It's a reciprocation. I give, overfill your bucket, you give back, overfill my bucket. You know what I'm saying? But there are times when you have to fill up your bucket before you can give somebody. And that's
the space, and that's absolutely 200% the space that I'm in right now. And it's like, I'm not even gonna, reveal like those aspects of myself. Like, I ain't crying in front of a girl ever again, unless like I know for sure. Like I have in one of my videos where I'm like, yo, like when it comes to people that are in my life, I want to know for sure. I don't want to be mistaken. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want to like be with you and then we, all laid up together, or even like a friend, we shake hands and this, that, and the third, but then I don't really know how you really feel about me until like we go through some shit.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10 in relationships anyway these days, it's like, yo, like you're always one misunderstanding or one tragedy away from a breakup or fucking falling out. That's not some shit that like I even like, nah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going, because, and this is something that I was going to say earlier that I didn't get to say, is that I'm just protective of what I have to give and who I am, because I know what I bring to the table. So until I see somebody that, because I feel like I don't have shit to prove to a woman anymore. Like, I just don't. I have things that I have to prove to myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like helping my mom retire, you know what I'm saying, is more important to me. And giving to my mother, who's been giving to me my entire life, is more important to me than giving to a girl that like can just show, you know what I'm saying? Because you've been there where like you with your girl and then you guys talk about kids' names and being with each other, you know, saying a long time and shit like that. And then what happened? Where are they now? You know what I'm saying? That's not some shit that I can invest in. Another video I said, invest in permanent things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because change is the one thing that is constant in this world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll quote my old man. That's one thing that he said that I can think of right now. Like, change is the one thing that like you have to deal with all the time. Like, things are constantly changing. However, and I'll quote 50 Cent. He was like, look at like the most successful people that you can think of. Their biggest losses in life came from when they invested in people. That came from when they invested in love. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking, Jeff Bezos, I'm pretty sure he don't care, but when he went his separate ways with his wife, I mean, we're talking finances, but still, she took $38 billion from him, on the way out. Like, I'm not, remember Percy, we did a quick take last year and we talked about Dr. Dre and his wife. Like, I'm not like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just, a woman and the construct of a relationship is something that I cannot wrap my mind around. Like, I overextended myself trying to put myself in those shoes or wearing those shoes, you know what I'm saying? And it didn't work out. So if some shit is not right for me, I'm just not going to do it until I feel that is right. I think I told you, OC, like when it's right, I will know. When I feel that I'm really around somebody that like I can, you know what I'm saying, that will really receive what I have to give and place value on that shit. Because there's some girls, nigga, like, or girls that you dated, like, nigga, you could die tomorrow and it wouldn't make a difference to them. Like, shit wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a fact. Yeah. Like, it's true. Like, there are certain people that you know of that if you died tomorrow, they couldn't tell the difference. Like, they would still go on about their day to day. That's like, let's say, like, God forbid, like, if anything happened to any one of y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, there will be something missing. Like, there will be some shit missing. But there are some women that, like, yo, like, if I wasn't around anymore, if I wasn't on this earth, you know what I'm saying? Oh, but we have
that's on the list.
Yeah, exactly. but we had all that history, right? Oh, we was so close, right? Really? What do I have to show for that shit right now? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think right now I have to be protective of what I have to give, develop it. So when I finally give it, I'll know that it's worth giving. And the person that I'm giving it to is worth giving to. But until then, fuck that.
Now, you know what? Even though Kirby, Kirby, you made a good
that's
point.
what happens when you get hurt, nigga.
Now you're right, Kirby. You made a good point, but I do agree with Dimitri because nowadays, like, OC, you know how he was talking about your dad and how he was talking about your mom and his wife. That those days are kind of long gone. It seems like for me, like nowadays, relationships are business transactions. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know how much money you got.
Though?
Whose choice is that? What do you mean?
No, but like to
but it's both though.
That, like, you know, that came from like in terms of my parents' relationship. That came from like my dad, because he had two previous relationships before that. He had a marriage, and he had a situation that led to like, you know, both of them led to like two of my older sisters. You know what I'm saying? He was just grinding out, doing what he had to do, make sure that he was straight. And then when he found my mom, like pretty much, he went to Nigeria, brought my mom over here and stuff like that, helped her to get established and take care of what she had to take care of. Now, I mean, to the point to be like, all right, now, like, you know, she worked her way up where she was able to make the money that she was able to make. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Yeah, you don't see nowadays, but I just wanted to like kind of just give like context or whatever to that's like what happened, not to be like, you know, like he met my mom and then like she was caking, he was, you know, whatever, like he kind of like did the thing to build himself up, and then like he was able to.
But I understand what person saying now, where it's like relationships these days is not about, oh, you know, especially us as men. We date women for who they are. Women today, they date us for what we bring to the table economically. It's not about none of that shit no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why would I even get into it with a chick these days? Like, yeah, if you could find a girl like OC got, then great. You know what I'm saying? Then great. But it don't be like that all the time. And I'm just gonna be straight up.
I'm gonna let Kirby go, but it goes back to look at what happened with Will Smith. You know, everybody calling him a simp, right? You know what I'm saying? It just seems to me like nowadays is all about what you got, what you
on sub for my
exactly
right now.
But it seems to me like a lot of relationships is all about materialistic things, and I think it goes back to social media having a big problem. It's like Dimitri said, it's like sometimes you seem like, you know, 2-3 years in, you just one argument away from a breakup. She got the next James Harden in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? No, stop. But nah, it be seem like that.
It be like that, yo. Yeah,
it be like that.
And it's like, and it's sad because like, but it's sad though because there are some very nice women out here who just, you know, looking for a guy to settle down with or whatever. But until you meet that, you crossing like 10 bridges of different people. That's like, oh, the moment the money dries up, or he's not making me happy the way I want to be happy. Screw this guy. You know what I'm saying? Now you put in 100
relationships in this day. Yeah,
you put 100% into a relationship and you thinking everything going well. Meanwhile, she already plotting for exit.
Yo, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
See why I fuck with this thing? Because he knows. This nigga knows. He knows. Like it's not. It ain't no fantasies no more. Because if that shit was true, listen. If that shit was true, no. If that shit was true, Kevin Samuels would not be a fucking millionaire right now. If that shit was true, there would be no market for fucking niggas like Steph is Cold and Alpha Male Strategy and all these other niggas. You know why? Because the shit that they say is true. That's why these niggas make so much money, because young men just like us, like we're just four niggas. The grand scheme of things, every nigga's going through the same type of shit. He gave everything he had to a certain chick for her to not receive that shit the way that she was supposed to, then go be with another nigga the same exact way she was with him. Right. Going to the same restaurant she was with this nigga, somebody else, giving this nigga the same nicknames, all of that shit. When you, but what I'm saying is, and I'll let Kirby, you know, go ahead. I'm just saying that I know, you know, how it obviously when you have more experience, it won't affect you as bad, but it still affects you. Like when you go through a divorce or some shit, like it affects you when you go through a breakup. It's like somebody was a part of your life for every day. You talk to them every day throughout the day. Like when we laugh, when I was like, yo, like you go to the grocery store with your girl. You go in the grocery store, you talking to her on the phone while she in the car. Like, and you do that.
That's literally how it be.
Exactly. You do that for 5 years, 6 years, however long you're in a relationship with. And then for that to just be stripped away for whatever reason it is, who wants to go through that, bro? Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I said this shit last year. I don't see myself getting married or really permanently investing in, I can't do it, bro.
But when you're ready, yo, be your time, B.
Yeah.
I'll have understandings. I'll have because when you're already in a long-term relationship, that's pretty much a marriage in and itself. marriage is literally just, if you look at it two ways, you look at it legally, which is you are, like sharing a last name, sharing finances. Legally, you are like, bound to this woman, right?
Yeah.
Then, the religious aspect is holy matrimony and this is forever. And, all till death do us part, till an argument do us part. Because a lot of people walk down the aisle and shit like that. A lot of people walk down the aisle and said till death do us part. Them niggas went through a whole bunch of shit. They went their separate ways, and it was almost as if they didn't meet each other in the first place. Because a lot of times that's how it be. You be with a girl for X amount of years and shit, and then you can go from that to being a complete stranger. That's not some shit that like, oh, I'm gonna invest like money, my energy, and my emotions and my time. Fuck that. I'll get a dog, bro, and that's all cool. Like I agree with you, but who somebody is in, let's say 2020 is not who they're going to be in 2023, 2024. People change, things change, circumstances change. How can because it's like, yeah, okay, this is who you are right now. I can invest in that right now. But what if something happens? Things change.
But that's the thing about making a commitment. If I make a commitment to go to the gym 5 days a week for the rest of my life, how am I going to know in 3 years I might have a physical ability that might restrict me from doing it? Yeah. How am I going to know that maybe in 3 years I might go through a horrible mental state of mind that now I just really feel out of it? I just don't have the energy. I don't know that.
That's faith. So
that's faith, but is relationship.
Exactly. So what you're speaking on, like, yeah, and I feel you. That's
in fact, that's a commitment. That's not even faith. That's a commitment. You choose to make the commitment.
This oh damn, it says 10 minutes. But the thing
is, choose to go to the gym.
But I just feel like, and that's because, like, didn't I say like 20 minutes ago? I ain't never seen it. I haven't seen it yet. So like a woman that can really embody or like at least like value like things like that, because as men, that's what we all want. You know what I'm saying? A woman that will commit to us just as much as we commit to them. A totally reciprocal relationship. I ain't never seen it. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really, that's why it's like, maybe I'm just not understanding you 100%, or it's because I'm just not in a space to understand, because I just feel like girls like that, they don't exist.
Yo,
not in this game.
I'll say
all right. So lastly, what I definitely wanted to do was for us to acknowledge each other for like maybe the relationships that we might have with one another, or something that, was said that you admired, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So I'll start off with saying that, for one, I'll start with Kirby. So I want to say that I appreciate you for, being there anytime I wanted to create something like my poetry short films. Like, you definitely don't have to take the time out of your life to, cater to my creativity on my YouTube channel. And if I never said it before, it's definitely something that I thought about today, because I was like, like, what is something that I could probably, thank him for and appreciate him for? And it's definitely that, because, trying to get somebody else to maybe do those things would probably be hard. But every time I'm like, yo, bro, I got this idea, and you always jump at it and, support that. So I want to say, I appreciate you, big dog.
Oh, I love.
And I'll say, Percy, shit, you like my brother, man, at this point. So I'm like, we motherfucking talk goddamn every day. So it's like,
exactly. I don't need no introduction. I'm good. No.
Yeah. And bruh. So I will say that, hey, we've been boys since 2009, bro. And I want to thank you for just being consistent. Like, I can say that, like, you've grown, but as a friend, you haven't changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've always been like a cornerstone of like light. You know what I'm saying? It's like, even if we didn't talk for X amount of time, it's like the minute like I knock on your door, it's as if I've been there like this whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just like laughing, picking it up where we left off, because a little bit of context is just that there was a time period where we didn't talk for like, I don't know, how long was it? Maybe like a year? Some shit, like a year and a half? Probably, maybe a little more than that. I'm not sure, but it was a while, you know what I'm saying? It was long enough. It's to where my mom would be like, oh, so how's OC doing? I'd be like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, yeah, like, yo, cause I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I felt some type of way. And then there was, like, I think when we did finally like reconnect and kind of sit down and talk about everything. And then I remember I said, I thanked you just for being there and just for being able to have that conversation, because I feel like a lot of times when you tell somebody like, yo, I wasn't feeling that, you did this or you didn't do that, they take it some kind of way they themselves, and you can't even have the conversation. Next thing you know, the conversation is out the window. and we had certain disagreements and we talked about things, threw ththings out there. And he was there for me as a friend. I think, it was the time after that. I think we worked on my rap video. So he helped me record my rap video and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? We did the kid and play and everything. So if I never said it before, which I'm pretty sure I have, I try my best to show my appreciation, you know what I'm saying, to everybody that I'm cool with. Cause you guys like literally are like more than half the friends that I have, like period. So I'm like, my circle pretty much is like fake right here anyway. So yeah, bro, I appreciate you being my friend, bro. Like,
Yeah, again, Os.
Oh no, I was just about to say, like, you know, going off of all of that, like, you know, like Dimitri, I've noticed, man, like we literally grew up together, it'd be hard for me to call him Dimitri, like it's just, that's DJ for me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, like, like when you told me about it, I was more than happy to pull up to this, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just impressed by your growth, you know, by your journey and all of that. And, you know, I'm just happy to be a part of it. And, you know, and I feel like, we both grown, man. And the fact that we both understand each other, just brought us like closer together, and I mean, we grew up together, your family's my family, my family's yours. Know what I mean? Like,
facts.
Man, we in here forever, no matter like, you know, how much time it is like that we don't talk or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. None of that matters, you know what I'm saying? Yo, homie wanted us to be like New Edition so bad. Yo, man, but nah, this dude's having me rolling, crying on the floor, like literally, like it's one of the funniest guys I know. Know what I mean? And like, yo, man, I'm always gonna be here for sure, And same thing with you, Curb. Know what I mean? Like me and Curb, we know each other for a minute, and you know, like I know we don't talk often and all that, but it's like, we always just cross paths, always just run into each other, And it's like every time we see each other, it's always something new, you know what I'm saying? And it's always love, it's always good vibes, it's always good energy, you know what I mean? And you know, Curb, like I don't know if I don't think I ever said this, but you opened me up to a lot of things, and you like you doing certain stuff, gave me confidence to do things on my own, you know what I'm saying? And you always had nothing but like good words to say to me, bro. So I mean, you always gonna be, always gonna be like A1 from day one, you know what I'm saying? And you know, and Percy, like I know we just meeting. Supposed to get the tips, it's like, get the tissue, B.
Vulnerability, right?
He said, that like, that you thought like, saying that was profound, that stood out to you, type shit.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, with Percy, like my bad, I forgot to say this. Like with Curb, with your journey, bro, I wish you the best, Like I'm praying for you, I hope that God blesses you, be in abundance.
Thank you.
And I'm happy for you and your journey, bro. Know what I mean, stay with it, stay true to yourself and be strong with it for sure.
Love that. Thank you, bro.
Nah, no doubt, bro. 100%. And Percy, like I know we just met for the first time, but like, like Dimitri always be talking about you, bro. Always talking about how like, how good of a dude you are and all that. Know what I mean? So it's like, like I know like I didn't know you before, but felt like I already knew you, you know what I'm saying? And like through this, like I can already tell you a solid dude, like you cool. Like we come from the same city, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that's love right there, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of points that you made, and like there was one that stood out to me in particular. I could tell that you've experienced a lot. You know what I mean, in your life, in your youth. And, despite all of that, you never let none of that like hold you back. You know what I'm saying? And people like that, like you can't mess with people like that. You know what I mean? Like those people like that are sturdy, you know what I mean? And I need people like that in my life for real, So
that's right. I'll run down on your Yeah, it's Dimitri tells me, well, I've met Kirby before, not in person, but we've did podcasts and stuff. But Dimitri tells me about y'all all the time. And, I just appreciate the fact that y'all there for him. Because I know a lot of times he be going through a lot of things. And, although I got to say, that sparring match, man, you got to work now. I'm just Nah, I'm just playing.
Blasting them, yo.
Nah, that shit was smooth. I liked it. I was telling him, like, a lot of people don't have courage to do that. And like even with this, a lot of people don't have the courage to come out and speak the open truth. A lot of people, like to be politically correct or, just put on a fake persona. So it's always nice to meet people. I'm grateful to be a part of this conversation and talking to y'all, because you don't really meet a lot of solid people, a lot of real people, everybody being fake and phony. You know what I'm saying? It's nice to meet Black men who stand on what they believe and, you know, have no problem voicing their opinion, but also being welcoming and inviting. Because a lot of people might look at this and think we all been friends for a long time. And I'm just meeting you, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you for not judging me. You know what I'm saying? I know I got a lot of baggage and crap that, you know, I could talk about for days, but, you know, being open and honest and just appreciating my point of view, everybody's point of view. I think it takes a lot for someone to do that. So I appreciate you for doing that. And I look forward to when I move back to the city to meet you, man. It'd be cool. And I wish you success in everything in what you do. And I hope you and your girl works out. You know, Dimitri, you know, I'm sorry about you, bro. No, you stop. No, but on the road, man, I appreciate you, man. It's nice to meet you for sure.
Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, no problem, man. James Harden, I got you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to see you. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, the court, yo, Curb know how I play. We can get on the court.
Oh shit, I'm down. We Bronx, man. That's how we do it. Kirby, you know, I be seeing you working on Instagram all the time, man. I know you took a break, and but it's been a while since we talked. But I be seeing you working. It's always nice to see people doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? You know, working on their career, working on their craft, and being the best version that they can. And, you know, you don't meet a lot of people who will give their time and the energy and invest in other people. So I appreciate you for that, because Dimitri tells me about you always coming through for him for any projects he have or any problems he got. And I appreciate you. You're a solid dude. Dimitri, you know.
Yeah, like
I'm sure you'll call me later, so I'm
that's
not
exactly gonna... like, yo, like, you know, so what's understood don't even really gotta be explained. Like,
exactly.
You talk to somebody like all day, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Word.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think that the conversation that we had was it was a beautiful conversation. I thought it was much needed. And, you know, just like you had said, Percy, you know, going into this, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I mean, I've done podcasts before. I'm used to, you know, speaking about certain things. But, you know, I felt like when it comes to like mental health and, you know, certain things like that, where, you know, people might have different ideas of it. And, you know, I don't know. I wasn't sure what to expect this time. And I feel like we all poured into each other today. And that was a part that I really walked out with, that I felt that was really beautiful, is no matter what was shared, what information was shared, whether we might not have the same opinions on everything, but we can all learn from each other. We can all learn from, even from the opposition of opinions. But either way, I feel like we all poured into each other's buckets today. And I thought that was beautiful. And, you know, one thing I have to say is, I'll speak on the what I really appreciate is y'all's like character. It's everyone that has this uniqueness about them, which I think is so beautiful. And also sharing your thoughts. I mean, I know Dimitri, you're the type of person. I always know, like you're gonna people will know what you think, bro. Like there's no way they cannot not know what you think. And that's something I always thought was, you know, was beautiful. I always try to think about what is it about another person that I see that you know I could appreciate. And you know, I think it's a beautiful thing that you started doing this, Dimitri. I'll definitely say that I do. I've always appreciated how open you were to, and even sometimes that reflected on me, and that reminded me, man, you know, I gotta speak up more about certain things. You know, sometimes I could be reflective about things and just try to process before I speak. So I appreciate that about you. You know, OC, I always felt like you had a light, you know what I'm saying? So we since we met, I always felt like you had a light about you. It was, you know, it's very beautiful. Like I feel like, you know, and I've seen your growth as well. You know, especially back then when I met OC, I was like, yo, this guy, I can't bring a girl around him. Like, it was like,
nah.
this man was dangerous, man.
That ass,
Yo,
man.
he'll hit you with
OC had his ways, yo. He had his
so,
ways, man.
yeah.
For real.
He'll say something simple like, like the sky's kind of beautiful today, but you, and I'm like, come on, bro. Like,
That sounds like some shit.
He definitely looked like the type, yeah.
but like, ever since I met you, I always appreciate this like light that you have about you. Is this natural positive energy. The best way to describe it is a light. And I'm also glad to know that you're a person of faith, and I also pray for you and hope that you continue to grow in that too. But yo, keep that light, man. Keep that light, because I feel like that light that you have in you, man, like especially in the world that we live in nowadays, like, some people don't want to see people with light in them, you know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Just naturally. So whenever I feel like you come into any kind of conversations, whether I run into you into the studio, like you said, even if we don't talk to each other, like every time, because I run to you into the studio, at a store, wherever it be, like you always bring a light with you, and that's beautiful. And I hope that you continue to carry that with you throughout all your journey. And Percy, I immediately can see, and one thing that I already appreciate about you, even from the moment that I met you, is that it's funny, but that you say about, I already see your branding, most charismatic person in entertainment. I don't think it's a lot. You definitely have this energy about you that it softens everything. When I say it softens everything, it just makes, like, I feel like you're the best person to be around in a serious conversation, because it won't be so hard, like somebody talking about, yo, I can't believe this, man, the worst thing happened to me, and you just open it, you say something, it's like, oh man, like you really have this also. I could also say it's like it's a light, but also what I also noticed, just from, like I said, it's not like we've met in person, but what I've noticed from what I've observed from like social media, from I've tuned into a couple of your podcasts. I appreciate your consistency. I appreciate your hard work and like your dedication. The same way, like you said, to see that, right, and especially now having a little bit more depth into who you are with your background and everything, it's a beautiful thing to see. You could take everything that you've experienced, and what you do basically is you basically convert that. You've taken it, and it has built you into the person that you are, and you just convert it, you put it back out there, whether it's through your acting, right? Because acting conveys emotion. So you affect people with your emotion. So you carry all of that, and you're able to put it through that, whether it's through the podcast, with everything that you share. And like you had said, there's things that you might share in podcasts where you might not know somebody needs to hear that. So I definitely appreciate that characteristic about you. And
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I think that this was a very beautiful conversation, definitely much needed. I mean, it's been like, what time? It's like 5.
It's been like almost 5.
Yeah. We'll definitely make some cuts.
I think it was definitely a beautiful thing. So thank you for having all of us.
And let me say, just in general, this is the kind of conversation people don't want to happen. Have 4 Black men being able to sit down, have a conversation. We don't get to see that often, and that's why I appreciate conversations like this, because it allows me to not have to put up my character too much. I can be normal, and I can have conversations with my fellow man. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll just kind of wrap it up by saying that that's just the whole purpose of my podcast anyway. When I thought of my YouTube channel, and I'm like, all right, what do I want people to take from it? It's like, yeah, entertainment is cool, things like that. But my favorite YouTube channels are YouTube channels that I feel like I could take things from and apply, to like who I am or my day-to-day and things like that. So with this podcast, that's what it's about. Like, even if it's just 50 people that see it, at least there's somebody out there that was like, yo, like, it's nice to hear these things being talked about, because like y'all all said, that most people, they don't talk about these things. And then maybe it'll inspire them to have those conversations with their friends, because we all have like real life conversations. Like, we just talk about life, we talk about anything, but in this case scenario, we're just having this conversation and then we're just sharing it with other people. So appreciate y'all. Anybody who's listening, or if you made it to the end of this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.